In 1915, deep in the Cambodian jungle, explorers stumbled upon something that didn't make sense. Towering spires, endless corridors, and carvings so intricate they seemed machine-made. Yet, this wasn't modern. It was ancient. It was Angkor Wat. And it's just one of many. All around the world, hidden beneath jungles, buried in deserts, or carved into solid rock, there are structures that shouldn't exist, at least not with the tools and knowledge we believe ancient people had. Giant stones cut with shocking precision, cities built at the tops of mountains, roads that stretch through dense rainforest with no known destination. Even with today's technology, we'd struggle to recreate some of these feats. So who built them? How did they do it? And what were they really for? Before we start today's journey, let us know where in the world you're watching from, and what time it is for you right now. Drop it in the comments below and settle in for a fascinating exploration of ancient structures that shouldn't exist in today's world. Puma Punku stands as an archaeological enigma in western Bolivia, part of a larger complex near Tiwanaku. Located at an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet in the Andes Mountains, this site presents stone ruins that challenge conventional understanding of ancient engineering and capabilities. The ruins are characterized by their incredibly precise stonework, which features unique and intricate cuts that seem impossible to achieve with the known technology of the Tiwanaku culture, who are believed to have constructed it. The Tiwanaku civilization flourished in the Andes from approximately 600 to 1000 AD, though some theories suggest parts of Puma Punku could be much older. The most striking features of Puma Punku are the H-blocks and other interlocking stones. These blocks are crafted from two primary materials, andesite and red sandstone. Andesite is an extremely hard volcanic rock, similar in hardness to granite, making it exceptionally difficult to cut and shape even with modern tools. The red sandstone is softer but still requires considerable effort to work with. What makes the stonework so remarkable is the level of precision observed. Many blocks exhibit perfectly flat surfaces, sharp internal and external 90-degree angles, and complex interlocking features. Some stones show evidence of precision drilling, perfectly straight grooves, and even small uniform holes that resemble those made by a power drill. These features are found on blocks weighing many tons, sometimes over 100 tons, adding to the puzzle of their creation and placement. The H-blocks, named for their resemblance to the letter H, are particularly intriguing. These are not merely decorative elements, but appear to be components of a modular, prefabricated construction system. Each H-block is identical in its intricate design, suggesting a level of standardization and mass production that is highly unexpected for an ancient civilization. They were designed to interlock with other blocks, creating a seamless and stable structure without the need for mortar. The exact fit of these multifaceted stones is astonishing. The joints are so tight that not even a razor blade can be inserted between them. This level of precision is typically achieved only with advanced machinery and highly skilled stonemasons, often using diamond-tipped tools. The mystery deepens when considering the tools available to the Tiwanaku people. Archaeological evidence suggests they primarily used stone tools, such as hammer stones made of a harder material than the rock they were shaping, along with abrasive sands and water for polishing. While these methods can produce impressive results, it is difficult to conceive how such simple tools could achieve the geometric perfection and intricate cuts seen at Puma Punku. The long, straight cuts, the precise angles, and the perfectly smooth surfaces imply a method of cutting and shaping that goes beyond simple hammering and grinding. Some researchers have suggested that the Tiwanaku may have possessed knowledge of lost or more sophisticated techniques, or that the site is evidence of an even older, unknown culture with superior technology. Furthermore, the sheer scale of the stones and their placement at such a high altitude present a significant logistical challenge. The quarry for the andesite blocks is located miles away, and the red sandstone quarry is even further. Transporting these massive blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, across rugged terrain and then lifting them into position would have required an immense amount of coordinated effort, a vast labour force, and sophisticated methods of hauling and lifting. The site itself shows signs of catastrophic destruction, with many of the perfectly cut blocks scattered as if by a powerful force, adding another layer to the enigma of Puma Punku. The puzzle of how such precise and complex stonework was achieved by an ancient civilization remains one of the most compelling archaeological questions. Baalbek, located in eastern Lebanon, is home to one of the most astonishing ancient structures, a massive Roman temple complex built upon a colossal stone platform. While the grand temples, such as the Temple of Jupiter and the Temple of Bacchus, are undeniably Roman in origin and impressive in their scale, it is the underlying platform and its gargantuan stones that truly defy explanation and push the boundaries of known ancient engineering capabilities. These stones, known as megaliths, far surpass the size of blocks typically used in Roman construction and are believed to predate the Roman era, possibly belonging to an earlier unknown civilization. The most famous of these colossal stones is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, or Hajar al-Hibla, which lies in a nearby quarry partially detached from the bedrock. This single block of limestone measures approximately 64 feet long, 14 feet 8 inches wide and 13 feet 9 inches high. Its estimated weight is around 1,000 to 1,200 tons. To put this into perspective, this single stone weighs more than 2,000 average-sized cars. The sheer size of this block makes it the largest cut stone in the world. The fact that it was precisely cut and prepared for transport, though never fully moved from the quarry, suggests that the ancient builders intended to use stones of this unbelievable magnitude in their construction. The unanswered question remains: how did they plan to move such an object? Even more perplexing are the three enormous stones, collectively known as the Trilithon, that form the base of the Temple of Jupiter's platform. These three megaliths are embedded in the retaining wall of the platform, elevated high above the ground. Each of these stones measures approximately 63 feet long, 14 feet 7 inches high, and 12 feet 8 inches deep. While slightly smaller in volume than the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, each block of the Trilithon is estimated to weigh around 800 to 1,000 tons. What makes them so extraordinary is not just their individual weight, but their precise placement, perfectly aligned next to each other, forming a seamless and integral part of the platform. Their position within the elevated platform means they were not only transported from a distant quarry, but also lifted to a significant height. The transportation and lifting of stones weighing hundreds or even over 1,000 tons present an enormous challenge even with modern heavy machinery. In ancient times, without the aid of cranes, bulldozers or motorized vehicles, the task seems almost insurmountable. Traditional theories suggest the use of ramps, rollers, sledges, and vast numbers of labourers, perhaps numbering in the tens of thousands. However, the sheer friction and the structural integrity required for ramps and lifting mechanisms to support such immense weights stretch the limits of conventional historical understanding. Even if enough manpower could be gathered, the coordination and mechanical leverage required would have been incredibly sophisticated. The precise cutting and dressing of these stones also pose a significant question. Limestone, while not as hard as granite, still requires considerable skill and effort to shape with hand tools. The smooth, flat surfaces and the near-perfect right angles seen on these blocks suggest a level of craftsmanship that is exceptional. The builders of Baalbek were capable of moving and placing stones of a scale unparalleled in the ancient world. The presence of the Stone of the Pregnant Woman in the quarry indicates a level of ambition and capability that went beyond typical Roman construction practices. The megaliths of Baalbek stand as a testament to an unknown ancient engineering prowess, leaving historians and engineers to ponder the methods employed to accomplish such a monumental feat. The Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed as a tomb for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 to 2560 BC, stands as a monumental testament to the engineering and mathematical prowess of ancient Egyptians. While its sheer size and the immense number of blocks used are impressive, it is the incredible precision and alignment of the structure that truly sets it apart and poses significant questions for modern understanding. The pyramid was built using approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, primarily limestone for the casing and inner structure, and heavier granite for key internal chambers. One of the most astonishing aspects of the Great Pyramid is the almost perfect squareness of its base. The four sides of the pyramid average about 755 feet in length, yet the difference between the longest and shortest sides is less than 8 inches. This minimal deviation, over such a vast area indicates an extraordinary level of accuracy in surveying and construction. Furthermore, the base is remarkably level, with variations of only about 1 inch across its entire footprint. Achieving such a flat and square foundation on a large scale without modern optical levelling tools and surveying equipment is a feat that continues to baffle engineers. Perhaps even more remarkable is the pyramid's precise astronomical alignment. The 4 sides of the Great Pyramid are almost perfectly aligned with the 4 cardinal directions: true north, south, east, and west. The deviation from true north is incredibly small, less than 1/10 of a degree. This precision is more accurate than many modern buildings. Ancient Egyptians did not possess the magnetic compass, so their methods for determining true north likely involved astronomical observations, such as tracking the circumpolar stars or the sun's position at the equinoxes. How they translated these observations into such a precise layout on the ground, maintaining accuracy over hundreds of feet, remains a subject of intense study. The construction also features incredibly tight joints between the massive casing stones that once covered the entire pyramid. These finely dressed limestone blocks were fitted together with such precision that in many instances a razor blade could not be inserted between them. This exact fit, achieved without mortar, indicates an extremely high level of craftsmanship in stone dressing and placement. The sheer volume of stone combined with this remarkable precision in cutting and fitting suggests a sophisticated understanding of geometry and mechanics. The pyramid's builders managed to elevate and place blocks weighing many tons with this level of accuracy, often hundreds of feet above the ground. The internal structure also showcases precision. The descending and ascending passages, the Grand Gallery, and the King's and Queen's chambers all exhibit remarkable engineering. For example, the granite blocks in the King's chamber were placed with such tight tolerances that the structure has endured thousands of years of seismic activity and gravitational stress. The methods used to quarry, transport, and lift these millions of blocks have been theorized to involve ramps, levers, and large teams of workers. However, the consistent accuracy across the entire structure, from its foundation to its peak, suggests a master plan executed with unparalleled control and knowledge. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands not just as a large tomb, but as a monument to ancient precision that continues to inspire awe and scientific inquiry. In the highlands of Peru, particularly around the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, lie some of the most astonishing examples of ancient stonework known as polygonal masonry. Sites like Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and Machu Picchu showcase walls built with enormous, irregularly shaped stones that fit together with breathtaking precision, entirely without the use of mortar. This construction technique is often referred to as Cyclopean masonry due to the colossal size of the stones involved, some weighing over 100 tons. The methods used to achieve such an exact fit continue to be a profound mystery. Sacsayhuaman, a formidable fortress-like complex overlooking Cusco, is a prime example of this unique building style. Its massive walls are composed of gigantic, multifaceted limestone blocks. Unlike the uniform, rectangular blocks found in many other ancient civilizations, these Inca stones often have dozens of angles, curves, and unique shapes. Yet, each stone is meticulously shaped to interlock perfectly with its neighbours. The joints are so tight that it is often impossible to insert even a thin piece of paper or a knife blade between the stones. This precision is achieved across vast expanses of wall, some towering over 20 feet high. The materials used, such as limestone and diorite, are hard and require considerable effort to cut and shape. The Inca did not possess iron tools. Their primary tools were likely made of harder stones, such as basalt or hematite, along with bronze chisels for softer rock and abrasive sands for finishing. How they managed to carve, dress, and fit these enormous, irregularly shaped blocks with such exactitude remains an unsolved engineering puzzle. One prevailing theory suggests an iterative process of grinding and fitting, where stones were repeatedly placed, adjusted, and ground down until a perfect fit was achieved. However, the sheer scale of the blocks and the number of facets involved make this a laborious and time-consuming process, requiring an immense amount of skilled labour and patience. Another aspect that puzzles researchers is how the Inca managed to move and lift these colossal stones. Some blocks at Sacsayhuaman are estimated to weigh between 100 and 200 tons. The quarries for these stones are miles away from the construction sites, and the terrain is often steep and challenging. Theories for transportation include rolling the stones on logs, pulling them over ramps, or using earthen causeways. However, lifting and precisely placing these multi-ton blocks, especially in the upper courses of the walls, would have required sophisticated levers, ropes, and a highly organised workforce. The absence of visible crane-like structures or advanced mechanical aids only deepens the mystery. Beyond their architectural beauty, these polygonal walls possess remarkable structural integrity. The interlocking nature of the stones, combined with their slight inward lean, called battered walls, makes them highly resistant to earthquakes, a frequent occurrence in the Andean region. The stones are designed to shift slightly during tremors and then settle back into place, preventing collapse. This demonstrates a profound understanding of seismic engineering. The Peruvian walls stand as a testament to an ancient civilization that achieved an unparalleled mastery of stone construction, defying modern attempts to fully replicate their methods and leaving behind structures that continue to inspire awe and questions about the full extent of their capabilities. Deep beneath the sands of Saqqara, Egypt, lies the Serapeum, an underground burial complex dedicated to the sacred Apis bulls. Discovered in the mid-19th century, this labyrinthine network of tunnels contains one of the most baffling ancient artifacts, a series of monumental stone boxes. These massive sarcophagi found within the chambers pose a significant mystery due to their immense size, extreme precision, and the incredibly hard materials from which they are carved. There are 24 such boxes in the main galleries of the Serapeum, along with several others in side chambers. Each box is made from a single solid piece of stone, primarily red Aswan granite or basalt, both of which are among the hardest stones known. The dimensions of these boxes are truly colossal. They are typically 13 feet long, 7 feet 6 inches wide, and 11 feet high, including their massive lids. The weight of each box without its lid is estimated to be between 70 and 100 tons. The lids themselves are equally heavy, weighing approximately 20 to 30 tons. The sheer scale and weight of these objects present an immediate challenge to understanding how they were quarried, transported, and moved into the underground chambers. What is even more astonishing than their size is the extraordinary precision with which these boxes are crafted. The internal and external surfaces of the boxes are remarkably flat and smooth, often polished to a mirror-like finish. Measurements have shown that the flatness and parallelism of the surfaces are accurate to within a few thousandths of an inch. Furthermore, the internal corners are perfectly square, exhibiting precise 90-degree angles. Achieving such exactness in granite or basalt, without the aid of modern machinery, is considered by many engineers and stonemasons to be an almost impossible feat. Traditional ancient Egyptian tools consisted primarily of copper or bronze chisels, dolerite pounding stones, and abrasive sands for cutting and polishing. While these tools were effective for softer stones like limestone or sandstone, they would have struggled immensely with granite and basalt. To achieve the observed precision in such hard materials would require a level of continuous abrasion and a degree of control that seems beyond the capabilities of hand tools. The smooth, perfectly flat surfaces, especially the internal ones, suggest a method of grinding and finishing that far exceeds what is commonly attributed to the technology of the period, which is generally considered to be around the New Kingdom, around 1550 to 1070 BC. The process of hollowing out these massive blocks also remains a puzzle. To remove tons of solid granite from the interior of a 70-ton block with anything less than power drills or advanced cutting tools would have been an incredibly laborious and time-consuming undertaking. The consistent straight cuts and perfectly flat internal walls suggest a different method than simple hammering and scraping. Some theories propose the use of highly advanced, perhaps unknown, abrasive techniques, or even a form of early power tools. The purpose of these boxes also adds to the mystery. While traditionally identified as sarcophagi for sacred bulls, many of the boxes were found empty, or contained only fragments, leading some to question their true function. Regardless of their purpose, The Serapeum stone boxes represent a pinnacle of ancient stonework that continues to challenge conventional archaeological explanations. Their extreme precision in incredibly hard materials, combined with their monumental size, suggests a level of technological sophistication that is not fully understood within the known timeline of ancient Egyptian capabilities. The island of Malta, situated in the Mediterranean Sea, is home to a series of megalithic temples that stand as some of the oldest freestanding stone structures in the world. These impressive sites, including Hagar Kim, Mnajdra, and Tarxian, were constructed during the Neolithic and Copper Ages, roughly between 3,600 and 2,500 years before Christ. What makes these temples particularly astonishing is the use of extraordinarily large stone blocks, some weighing many tons, that were cut, moved, and precisely placed by a prehistoric society that had no knowledge of metal tools, the wheel, or beasts of burden. The primary materials used in these temples were local limestones. Globigerina limestone, a relatively soft and easily workable stone, was often used for internal structures and decorative elements. However, for the major structural components, such as lintels and orthostats, the builders employed coralline limestone, which is much harder and more durable. The scale of some of these blocks is truly remarkable. For instance, at Hagar Kim, one of the orthostats measures approximately 20 feet in length and weighs an estimated 20 tons. At the Tarxian temples there are stones of similar magnitude, including massive altar tables and threshold blocks. These huge stones form walls, doorways, and roofing elements, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of construction principles. The construction method employed was dry stone masonry, meaning no mortar was used to bind the stones together. Instead, the stability of the structures relied entirely on the precise fitting and weight of the individual blocks. While the fit is not always as perfectly seamless as seen in some Peruvian sites, the sheer size and placement of the stones are still astounding given the technology of the time. The shaping of these blocks would have involved considerable effort. Archaeological evidence suggests that the builders used harder stone tools, likely hammerstones made of chert or flint, to chip and pound the softer Globigerina limestone. For the harder coralline limestone, a more vigorous and sustained hammering process would have been necessary, often leaving characteristic pitted surfaces on the blocks. Abrasive sands and water might have been used for finer finishing and smoothing. The transportation and erection of these colossal stones present the greatest puzzle. With no wheels or large animals for hauling, the only available power source was human muscle. Theories suggest that the blocks were moved using a combination of methods. Wooden rollers or grease sledges could have been employed to drag the stones over relatively flat ground. For uphill sections or to lift stones into place, ramps made of earth or rubble would likely have been constructed. Levers, ropes made from natural fibres, and possibly a large organised workforce would have been essential. The process would have been incredibly slow and laborious, requiring immense coordination and ingenuity. The architectural complexity of the Maltese temples further highlights the builders' capabilities. Many of the temples feature a unique multi-chambered trefoil or 5-apse plan, often accessed through monumental trilithon doorways, 2 upright stones supporting a horizontal lintel. The builders managed to raise these heavy lintel stones many feet above the ground. The very existence of these grand structures on a small island, built by a society without the most basic mechanical aids, underscores the determination and sophistication of the ancient Maltese people. The methods by which they moved and positioned these giants remain largely theoretical, prompting wonder at their engineering prowess. Off the coast of Yonaguni Island, the westernmost island of Japan's Ryukyu archipelago, lies an intriguing underwater rock formation that has sparked considerable debate, the Yonaguni Monument. Discovered by a local diver in the mid-1980s, this submerged structure features flat platforms, straight edges, sharp angles, and what appear to be steps, terraces, and even carvings, leading some to propose it is a remnant of an ancient submerged city or ceremonial site. Others maintain that it is a purely natural geological formation shaped by eons of erosion and seismic activity. The main structure, sometimes called the monument, is estimated to be approximately 250 feet long, 60 feet wide, and 60 feet high. It is characterized by its large rectangular shape with seemingly sharp 90-degree corners. divers have observed features resembling wide steps, carved terraces, pathways, and even distinct formations that resemble animal figures or faces. The rock composition is primarily sandstone and mudstone, which are known to be prone to fracturing along straight lines due to natural geological processes like faulting and erosion by currents. The argument for the Yonaguni Monument being a natural formation emphasizes these geological processes. Proponents suggest that the observed straight lines, flat surfaces, and angular features are simply the result of natural fracturing patterns in the bedrock, exacerbated by wave action and currents over thousands of years. Sandstone in particular can break into regular blocky shapes. The steps could be natural sedimentary layers exposed by erosion, and the terraces could be differential erosion of softer rock layers. Geologists who support the natural formation theory point to similar geological structures found above water in other parts of the world, where natural processes create strikingly geometric rock formations. They also note the absence of definitive tools, construction marks, or artifacts that would undeniably prove human intervention. Conversely, those who argue for a man-made origin highlight the unusual regularity and complexity of the structure's features. They point to the repeated occurrence of 90-degree angles, parallel lines, and what appear to be deliberately cut channels or paths. Some researchers, notably marine geologist Masaki Kimura, claim to have identified distinct human-made elements, such as what look like walls, roads, and even a stadium or castle. They argue that while natural processes can create some geometric shapes, the sheer number and consistency of these features at Yonaguni are highly unlikely to be purely coincidental. They also suggest that some markings might be tool marks or primitive carvings, though these are difficult to definitively prove due to marine erosion. If the Yonaguni Monument were indeed man-made, its existence would imply the presence of a sophisticated civilization in the region thousands of years ago. Geological evidence indicates that the structure would have been above sea level during the last ice age, approximately 10,000 years before Christ. This would push back the timeline for complex architectural achievements in the area significantly, predating even the oldest known megalithic structures on land. However, without conclusive archaeological evidence such as tools, living spaces, or cultural artifacts definitively associated with the structure, its true nature remains speculative. The Yonaguni Monument continues to be a compelling underwater mystery, standing as a testament to the powerful and sometimes geometrically precise forces of nature, or perhaps hinting at a lost chapter of ancient human history. Göbekli Tepe, located in southeastern Turkey, is an archaeological site that has fundamentally reshaped our understanding of early human history and the development of civilization. Often referred to as the world's first temple, its construction dates back to the pre-pottery Neolithic period, approximately 9,500 to 8,000 years before Christ. This makes Göbekli Tepe thousands of years older than other famous megalithic structures like Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids. The site consists of multiple large circular enclosures, each defined by massive, intricately carved stone pillars. The most striking features of Göbekli Tepe are these T-shaped limestone pillars. They range in height from 10 to 20 feet and weigh up to 20 tons. Each enclosure typically features two larger pillars positioned in the center, flanked by a circle of smaller pillars around the perimeter. Many of these pillars are adorned with detailed carvings of animals, including foxes, snakes, wild boars, gazelles, birds, and insects. Abstract symbols and humanoid figures are also depicted. The two central pillars in each enclosure are believed to represent stylized human figures, indicated by carved arms and hands extending along their sides. The craftsmanship of these carvings is remarkably sophisticated for such an early period. The construction of Göbekli Tepe presented immense challenges for a society believed to be composed primarily of hunter-gatherers. The massive pillars had to be quarried from nearby bedrock using rudimentary stone tools, then transported and finally erected into their upright positions. While the exact methods of transportation and erection are not definitively known, it would have required significant communal effort, planning, and a deep understanding of leverage and engineering principles. The scale of the undertaking indicates a level of social organization and coordination that was previously not attributed to human groups of that age. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe challenged the long-held archaeological theory that monumental architecture and complex ceremonial sites only emerged after the development of agriculture and settled communities. Before Göbekli Tepe, it was generally believed that the need for large-scale construction arose with the surpluses and stable populations provided by farming. However, Göbekli Tepe was built by people who were still largely hunter-gatherers, living in temporary settlements. Another puzzling aspect of Göbekli Tepe is its intentional burial. Over time, each circular enclosure appears to have been deliberately filled in with earth and debris, only for new, smaller enclosures to be built on top. The reasons for this systematic burial are not fully understood. Some theories suggest it was a ritual act of abandonment, a way to preserve the structures, or part of a cyclical renewal process. The site's purpose is still debated. It is widely considered a ceremonial or religious centre, a gathering place for different groups of hunter-gatherers, or a central point for ritual activities. Göbekli Tepe continues to be excavated, revealing more layers of its ancient mystery and compelling researchers to rethink the timeline and drivers of human civilization. The Oaxaca Valley in southern Mexico was a vibrant center for ancient civilizations, most notably the Zapotec and later the Mixtec. Their impressive architectural achievements, particularly at sites like Monte Alban, feature the extensive use of large, heavy basalt slabs. Basalt is a dense, hard volcanic rock, and the presence of these enormous slabs in walls, platforms, and as carved monuments poses significant questions about the engineering capabilities of these ancient cultures, who built without the benefit of metal tools, draft animals, or the wheel. Monte Alban, a pre-Columbian archaeological site, served as the Zapotec capital for over 1,000 years, beginning around 500 years before Christ. This mountaintop city is characterized by its large plazas, pyramids, and temples. Within its structures, numerous basalt slabs are found, integrated into the architecture. These slabs were used as foundation blocks, supporting the weight of overlying structures, as massive lintels spanning doorways, and most famously, as carved stelae, such as the Danzanta Dancers Gallery, which features large stone slabs intricately carved with human figures. The size and weight of these basalt slabs are considerable. While not always as visually imposing as the megaliths of Baalbek, individual slabs at Monte Alban can still weigh many tons. For instance, some of the carved stelae are several feet high and wide, with a thickness that contributes to their substantial weight. The use of such heavy and difficult-to-work stone throughout the major constructions indicates a deliberate choice and a mastery over the material. The process of quarrying these basalt slabs would have been arduous. Basalt quarries have been identified in the Oaxaca region, located several miles from Monte Alban. The Zapotec likely employed techniques similar to other ancient stoneworking cultures, using harder stone tools such as hammerstones to chip away at the surrounding rock and create trenches around the desired block. They might have used wooden wedges, perhaps soaked in water to expand and split the rock from its bedrock. This process would have been slow and demanded immense physical effort and precision to prevent the large slabs from cracking. Once quarried, the transportation of these heavy slabs to the elevated city of Monte Alban presented an enormous logistical challenge. The journey from the quarries to the mountaintop often involved traversing rugged terrain and ascending significant inclines. Without the use of wheeled vehicles or draft animals, the most probable methods involved human labour. This would entail dragging the slabs on sledges, possibly over greased logs, or along specially constructed earthen ramps or causeways. The sheer number of labourers required to pull these multi-ton blocks up a mountain would have been substantial, signifying a highly organised society with a centralised authority capable of mobilising and sustaining a large workforce. The final placement of these heavy slabs, especially as lintels spanning openings high above the ground, would have required sophisticated methods of lifting and precise manoeuvring. Temporary earthen ramps, levers, and a well-coordinated team using ropes would have been necessary to hoist and position the blocks. The presence of these large, carefully worked basalt slabs throughout Monte Alban is a testament to the Zapotec's advanced engineering and architectural skills. It reflects a civilization capable of overcoming significant material and logistical hurdles to create enduring and monumental structures, the full details of whose construction methods continue to be a subject of archaeological study. The Karnak Temple complex, located on the east bank of the Nile River in Luxor, Egypt, is one of the largest ancient religious sites in the world. Among its many grand structures, the towering granite obelisks stand out as extraordinary feats of ancient engineering. These monolithic monuments, carved from single pieces of stone, were quarried, transported hundreds of miles, and then precisely erected by the ancient Egyptians, demonstrating an unparalleled mastery over materials and logistics. While many obelisks once graced Karnak, some of the most famous include those of Pharaoh Hatshepsut and Thutmose I. Hatshepsut's surviving obelisk, for example, stands nearly 97 feet tall and is estimated to weigh approximately 320 tons. The journey of an obelisk began in the granite quarries of Aswan, located hundreds of miles south of Karnak. The process of detaching such a massive piece of stone from the bedrock was incredibly labour-intensive. Egyptian quarry workers would first identify a suitable granite outcrop. Then, using tools made of harder stone such as dolerite pounders, they would systematically pound a trench around the outline of the desired obelisk. Once the shape was defined, they would insert wooden wedges into cracks or pre-drilled holes along the base of the obelisk. These wedges would then be repeatedly soaked with water. As the wood absorbed water, it would expand, creating immense pressure that would eventually cause the granite to split cleanly from the bedrock. This technique was precise enough to avoid fracturing the entire block. Once separated from the bedrock, the rough-hewn obelisk then had to be transported to the Nile River. This land transport, though shorter than the river journey, would have involved dragging the immense stone on a massive wooden sledge, likely over a prepared trackway lubricated with water or mud. Thousands of workers, using ropes and human power, would have been required to pull the colossal weight. Upon reaching the Nile, the obelisk was loaded onto a specially constructed barge. Due to their immense size, these barges were often colossal vessels, or possibly multiple barges lashed together, designed to distribute the immense weight. The obelisk would then be floated hundreds of miles downstream to Karnak, a journey that required careful navigation and immense logistical planning for sustenance and crew management. The final and perhaps most challenging step was the erection of the obelisk at the temple site. This process is still debated among engineers and Egyptologists. The most widely accepted theory involves building a large, sloping earth ramp that would extend up to the foundation, where the obelisk was to stand. The obelisk would then be dragged up this ramp on its side. Once it reached the top, the end of the obelisk would be manoeuvred over the edge of its foundation pit. Then, using a combination of ropes, levers, and a carefully constructed counterweight system, the obelisk would be slowly and meticulously pivoted into its upright position. As the obelisk tilted, sand could be removed from a pit below its base to control the descent and ensure a precise vertical placement. The entire process, from quarrying to final erection, would have taken many months or even years to complete. The precision required for the quarrying to ensure a single, undamaged piece, the logistical feat of river transport, and the complex engineering involved in its erection, all without modern machinery, highlight the extraordinary capabilities of ancient Egyptian civilization. The obelisks of Karnak stand as enduring symbols of their ambition, organizational skill, and profound understanding of mechanics and physics. Mohenjo-Daro, an ancient city of the Indus Valley civilization, flourished between approximately 2,500 and 1,900 years before Christ, making it one of the world's earliest major urban settlements. Located in present-day Sindh, Pakistan, this city stands as a remarkable example of sophisticated urban planning that rivals or even surpasses contemporary cities of its time, such as those in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Its design reflects an advanced understanding of civic organization, public health, and engineering, demonstrating a level of forethought that is truly exceptional for its era. The most striking feature of Mohenjo-Daro is its rigid grid layout. The city was meticulously planned with streets and alleys intersecting at nearly perfect right angles, creating a systematic pattern of residential blocks. The main streets, some as wide as 30 feet, ran north-south and east-west, dividing the city into distinct precincts. This orderly arrangement facilitated efficient movement and probably allowed for easy navigation within the dense urban environment. This kind of standardized orthogonal layout suggests a strong central authority or a well-developed civic administration capable of enforcing consistent building codes and urban design principles across a large population. Mohenjo-Daro was typically divided into two main parts, the citadel and the lower city. The citadel, situated on a raised mound to the west, contained public buildings, perhaps administrative or religious structures, including the famous Great Bath and a granary. The lower city, sprawling to the east, was the residential area, consisting of houses, workshops, and marketplaces. Despite the functional differences, both sections adhered to the same grid plan, indicating a unified vision for the entire urban area. The granary in the citadel was a massive structure, suggesting centralized control over food storage and distribution, a hallmark of complex societies. Perhaps the most astonishing aspect of Mohenjo-Daro's planning was its elaborate and highly effective sanitation system. Almost every house in the city was equipped with a private well, providing access to fresh water, a luxury not common even in much later ancient cities. Each house also had its own bathroom, typically with a paved floor and a bathing platform. Wastewater from these bathrooms and toilets was directed through a network of covered drains that ran alongside the streets. These brick-lined drains, sometimes reaching several feet deep, carried sewage away from homes and into larger public sewers that ran beneath the main thoroughfares. Manholes, or inspection holes, were strategically placed along the public drains, allowing for maintenance and cleaning. This comprehensive drainage system prevented the accumulation of waste within the city, contributing significantly to public health and hygiene. The Great Bath, located in the citadel, is another prime example of Mohenjo-Daro's advanced engineering. This large rectangular tank, approximately 40 feet long, 23 feet wide and 8 feet deep, was constructed with finely dressed bricks and sealed with a layer of natural tar to prevent water leakage. Steps led down to the water, and a smaller adjoining building contained rooms that might have served as changing areas or additional baths. The Great Bath had an elaborate system for filling and emptying, suggesting its use for ritualistic bathing or public ceremonies rather than everyday hygiene. Its meticulous construction and waterproofing demonstrate sophisticated technical knowledge. The buildings in Mohenjo-Daro were primarily constructed using standardized baked bricks. The bricks were consistently of high quality and followed a uniform size ratio, suggesting a centralized system of brick production and quality control. Houses were often multi-storied, built around a central courtyard and designed to provide privacy. There was little evidence of grand palaces or elaborate temples, suggesting a society that prioritized civic amenities and collective well-being rather than ostentatious displays of individual wealth or power. The advanced planning of Mohenjo-Daro, with its orderly streets, sophisticated sanitation, and public facilities, showcases a highly organized and technologically capable ancient civilization. The ancient city of Dwarka, traditionally revered as the legendary capital of Lord Krishna's kingdom in Hindu scriptures, has long been a subject of myth and spiritual significance. According to the Mahabharata and other Puranic texts, Dwarka was a prosperous city that was eventually submerged by the sea after Krishna's departure from the earthly realm. For centuries, this narrative was considered purely mythological. However, in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, archaeological discoveries off the coast of the modern city of Dwarka in Gujarat, India, have lent compelling support to the existence of an ancient submerged settlement, blurring the lines between legend and historical fact. Beginning in the 1980s, marine archaeologists from India's National Institute of Oceanography initiated underwater excavations in the Arabian Sea, specifically in the coastal waters near present-day Dwarka. Their efforts revealed a series of submerged structures and artifacts at depths ranging from 20 to 40 feet below the current sea level. These discoveries included significant architectural components such as large stone blocks, pillars, walls, and what appear to be parts of a fortified city. The structures are primarily made of sandstone and limestone, materials consistent with ancient building practices in the region. Among the most important finds were systematically arranged building blocks and the remnants of a large, well-laid defensive wall, which some researchers interpret as a fortified city wall. The layout of some of the discovered structures suggests an organized settlement rather than random natural rock formations. Pottery shards, including a distinct type of ceramic known as lustrous red ware, have also been recovered from the site. This type of pottery is characteristic of the Harappan and late Harappan periods, dating roughly from 1,500 to 3,500 years before Christ. Additionally, numerous stone anchors, typical of ancient maritime activity have been found, indicating the presence of a port city. The dating of the artifacts, particularly the pottery and charcoal samples, has been crucial in establishing the antiquity of the submerged site. Thermoluminescence dating and carbon dating techniques applied to the recovered materials have yielded dates spanning from approximately 1,500 years before Christ to as early as 3,500 years before Christ. These dates suggest that the city, or at least a significant settlement, existed during a period consistent with the traditional timeline of the Mahabharata events, though precise correlations remain a subject of ongoing debate. The evidence points to an ancient coastal city that was inundated by rising sea levels or tectonic activity over millennia. While the archaeological findings provide strong evidence for an ancient submerged urban centre, the direct identification of this site as the mythical Dwarka remains a point of academic discussion. Some archaeologists argue that while the evidence points to an ancient settlement, conclusively labelling it as the legendary Dwarka requires more direct inscriptional or historical proof linking it specifically to the Krishna narrative. Nonetheless, the sheer scale of the underwater structures, their apparent man-made nature, and the consistent dating with ancient texts provide a compelling case for a major historical discovery. The existence of a once thriving coastal city now lost beneath the waves attests to significant ancient engineering and maritime capabilities, as well as the dynamic geological history of the region. The submerged city off Dwarka continues to be an active area of research, promising further insights into India's ancient past. Nan Madol, an archaeological site located off the eastern shore of the island of Pohnpei in Micronesia, is a marvel of ancient engineering and a testament to the sophistication of its builders. Constructed between approximately 800 and 1600 AD, this unique city is built entirely on a series of 92 artificial islets, interconnected by a network of tidal canals. Often referred to as the Venice of the Pacific, Nan Madol served as the political and ceremonial centre of the Sodler dynasty, a powerful ruling lineage that controlled Pohnpei for centuries. What makes Nan Madol truly extraordinary is its construction method and the materials used. The city was built using massive basalt columns, which are naturally occurring hexagonal or pentagonal logs of volcanic rock. These prismatic basalt columns range widely in size, with many reaching over 20 feet in length and weighing several tons. Some of the largest foundation logs are estimated to weigh over 50 tons. These enormous stones were not quarried in the traditional sense, but rather harvested from natural formations on the main island of Pohnpei, then transported to the construction site in the lagoon. The construction of the artificial islets involved creating foundations on the shallow coral reef by piling up smaller basalt rocks and coral fragments. On top of these foundations, the massive basalt logs were laid in a unique header and stretcher pattern, similar to log cabin construction, forming robust walls and platforms. Crucially, no mortar was used to bind the stones together. The stability of the structures relied on the precise stacking and the immense weight of the basalt logs. The builders demonstrated an intimate knowledge of material properties and structural integrity. The logistical challenges involved in building Nan Madol were immense. The basalt columns had to be transported from quarries located on the main island, often miles away from the lagoon site. This would have required either dragging the heavy logs to the coast or moving them along inland tracks. Once at the coast, the logs were likely floated or carried on large rafts or canoes across the water to the construction site. The process of lifting these multi-ton logs from the water and placing them accurately on the artificial foundations, often many feet above sea level, would have demanded sophisticated leveraging techniques, ropes, and a large, highly organised workforce. The builders had to contend with tides, currents, and the challenges of working in a marine environment. The intricate canal system further highlights the builders' ingenuity. The canals were designed to allow tidal currents to flow through the city, ensuring proper sanitation and access for canoes, which served as the primary mode of transportation within Nan Madol. The strategic placement of the islets and canals created a complex and functional urban landscape adapted to its watery setting. The city included palaces, tombs, residential compounds for the elite, and ceremonial structures, all built using the same colossal basalt columns. The sheer scale of the engineering effort required to construct Nan Madol over several centuries suggests a highly stratified society, with a powerful leadership capable of mobilizing and directing vast resources and labor. The structures stand as a testament to the advanced architectural and logistical capabilities of the ancient Pohnpeian people, who created an entire city on water, a feat of construction that remains one of the most remarkable archaeological sites in the Pacific. Deep beneath the volcanic landscapes of Cappadocia in central Turkey lies Derinkuyu, one of the largest and most astonishing underground cities ever discovered. Carved entirely out of the soft volcanic rock known as tuff, Derinkuyu is not merely a collection of caves, but a sophisticated, multi-level subterranean metropolis capable of housing thousands of people, along with their livestock, food supplies, and essential amenities for extended periods. Its primary purpose was to serve as a refuge from invaders and harsh weather conditions, a function it fulfilled for centuries, with its origins possibly dating back to the 8th or 7th centuries before Christ, and extensive use during the Byzantine era. Derinkuyu descends to a remarkable depth, reaching over 280 feet into the earth, and is estimated to have been able to accommodate up to 20,000 people. The city comprises numerous levels, each intricately connected by a labyrinthine network of tunnels and staircases. These levels contain a diverse range of rooms and facilities, meticulously carved into the rock. Explorers have discovered living quarters, stables for animals, storage rooms for food and wine, communal kitchens with smoke vents, churches, a missionary school complete with a study room, and even a graveyard. The sheer variety and organization of these spaces demonstrate comprehensive planning for long-term habitation. One of the most remarkable engineering feats within Derinkuyu is its elaborate ventilation system. To ensure breathable air for thousands of inhabitants and their animals across multiple deep levels, the builders created a vast network of air shafts. A main ventilation shaft extending all the way down to the deepest known level served as the primary conduit for fresh air. Numerous smaller vertical shafts branched off from the main one, providing airflow to every room and corner of the sprawling complex. This ingenious system ensured that air quality remained consistently good throughout the city, even in the deepest recesses, preventing suffocation or the buildup of stale air. The precise placement and depth of these shafts indicate an advanced understanding of air circulation and underground environmental control. Security and defense were paramount in the design of Derinkuyu. The city incorporated massive circular stone doors, resembling giant millstones, which could be quickly rolled into place from the inside to seal off passages. These formidable doors, weighing as much as 1,000 pounds each, had a small hole in the centre, allowing inhabitants to observe potential intruders and, if necessary, use spears. They effectively isolated different sections of the city, providing multiple layers of defence. The underground nature of the city itself offered excellent camouflage, making it nearly invisible from the surface and providing a surprise element against attackers. The construction of Derinkuyu involved carving away vast quantities of tuff, a relatively soft rock when first exposed, but one that hardens upon contact with air. The tools used by the ancient inhabitants were likely simple hand tools such as picks, chisels, and hammers made of stone or possibly early metals. The sheer volume of rock removed and the meticulous shaping of rooms, tunnels, and shafts speaks to centuries of sustained effort and a collective commitment to creating a secure refuge. Derinkuyu is also part of a larger network, with some tunnels reportedly connecting it to other underground cities in Cappadocia, demonstrating a regional strategy for defense and communal living. This sprawling subterranean city stands as a powerful testament to the ingenuity and resilience of ancient people in adapting to their environment and protecting themselves. Petra, an ancient city nestled in the deserts of modern-day Jordan, is one of the most breathtaking archaeological sites in the world, renowned for its unique architecture carved directly into vibrant pink sandstone cliffs. Flourishing from the 1st century before Christ to the 1st century AD, Petra was the capital of the Nabateans, an ancient Arab people who controlled lucrative trade routes linking the east with the west. Unlike most ancient cities that were built up from the ground, the Nabateans sculpted their monumental buildings, tombs, temples, and dwellings directly out of the living rock, transforming natural geological formations into an astonishing urban landscape. The most iconic structures of Petra, such as Al-Kazne, popularly known as the Treasury, and Adair, the monastery, are not freestanding buildings but elaborate facades carved into the sheer cliff faces. These intricate and towering structures showcase Hellenistic architectural influences combined with traditional Nabatean artistry. The facades feature detailed columns, intricate friezes, statues, and reliefs, all meticulously carved from the sandstone. The sheer scale of these carvings, some reaching over 130 feet in height, is a testament to the Nabateans' extraordinary skill and ambition. The process of carving these structures was unique and highly specialized. Instead of building from the bottom up, the Nabateans typically started carving from the top of the cliff face and worked their way downwards. This method would have required the use of elaborate scaffolding platforms, probably constructed from timber, which would have been progressively lowered as the work progressed. Using chisels, hammers, and other hand tools, skilled stonemasons would have shaped the rock, carefully removing material to create the desired architectural forms. The ability to maintain symmetry, proportion, and intricate detail over such vast and complex facades, working downwards without a pre-existing foundation, speaks to an exceptional level of planning, precision, and artistic talent. Beyond the grand facades, the Nabateans also carved out vast interiors within the rock. Many of the carved structures served as elaborate tombs for the city's elite, featuring multiple chambers and burial niches. Other carved spaces functioned as temples, houses, or gathering places. Creating these interior spaces involved the laborious process of excavating hundreds or even thousands of cubic feet of sandstone, hauling out the debris, and then meticulously finishing the walls and ceilings. The ingenuity of the Nabateans extended beyond monumental architecture to vital civic engineering. Despite being in a desert environment, Petra had an advanced water management system. The Nabateans carved channels, conduits, and elaborate cisterns into the rock to collect and store precious rainwater, ensuring a reliable water supply for the city's inhabitants and its extensive gardens. The location of Petra, nestled within a dramatic canyon, provided natural defences, accessed primarily through a narrow winding gorge known as the Sick. This approach adds to the awe-inspiring reveal of Al-Khazneh as visitors emerge from the dark canyon. The Nabateans' ability to thrive in such a challenging environment, harnessing the natural rock to create a thriving trade hub and a city of unparalleled beauty, marks them as master engineers and artists. Petra stands as an enduring monument to human ingenuity and the capacity to transform nature into magnificent architectural wonders. Sigiriya, meaning Lion Rock, is an ancient rock fortress and palace complex located in the Matale district of Sri Lanka. This archaeological site, dating back to the 5th century AD, is a dramatic spectacle, featuring a massive column of rock nearly 700 feet high that rises abruptly from the flat plains. It was chosen by King Kasyapa as his new capital and royal residence, transformed into an impenetrable fortress and an artistic marvel during his reign from 477 to 495 AD. The site encompasses not only the summit of the rock, but also extensive landscaped gardens and fortifications at its base, demonstrating a highly sophisticated level of ancient engineering and urban planning. The complex is meticulously designed with 3 main parts: the water gardens, the rock carvings, and the summit palace. The water gardens, located at the western base of the rock, are among the oldest surviving landscaped gardens in Asia. They are characterized by a series of symmetrical pools, fountains, and small islands, all fed by an intricate hydraulic system. This system, which is still functional in some areas today, collected rainwater from the summit of the rock and channeled it through underground conduits and surface channels. It included hydraulic pumps and pressure chambers to create fountains, demonstrating an advanced understanding of hydrology and fluid dynamics, centuries before similar technologies were widely known elsewhere. The precision with which these gardens were laid out, considering the natural contours of the land, is a testament to the builder's planning skills. Midway up the rock, a sheltered gallery once housed the famous Sigiriya frescoes, vivid paintings of celestial maidens. These well-preserved artworks, known for their unique style and vibrant colours, were painted on plaster applied to the rock face. Originally, the entire western face of the rock was thought to have been covered with these frescoes, forming a massive picture gallery extending over 400 feet long and 130 feet high. The skill required to prepare the rock surface, apply the plaster, and paint these intricate figures at such a height is remarkable. Adjacent to the fresco gallery is the mirror wall, so named because it was once highly polished limestone, allowing the king to see his reflection. Over centuries, visitors inscribed poems and comments on this wall, providing unique insights into the site's history and ancient languages. The ascent to the summit palace was historically made through the mouth of a massive lion figure, from which the rock derives its name. Only the paws of this grand lion gateway remain today, carved out of the rock itself. From this point, a series of narrow staircases, often carved into the rock face or constructed with bricks, led to the flat top of the monolith. The summit, covering an area of approximately 4 acres, was entirely transformed into a royal palace and fortress. It included residential buildings, royal chambers, audience halls, and terraced gardens, all meticulously designed and integrated into the natural contours of the rock. The logistics of building a palace on top of a sheer rock face were immense. All building materials, including bricks, timber, and decorative elements, had to be hauled to the summit. It is believed that a complex system of ramps, pulleys, and scaffolding was employed to lift these materials. The presence of large cisterns and rock pools on the summit ensured a continuous water supply, fed by the sophisticated hydraulic system originating in the water gardens below. The palace at the summit was designed not just for royal residence, but also as a formidable defensive stronghold, offering panoramic views of the surrounding landscape, allowing for early detection of approaching enemies. Sigiriya stands as an extraordinary example of ancient urban planning, landscape architecture, and engineering, demonstrating a sophisticated civilization capable of transforming a natural wonder into a monumental man-made masterpiece. In the rugged highlands of Ethiopia, the town of Lalibela is home to a collection of 11 monolithic churches, a truly unique architectural wonder. These churches are not built in the conventional sense, but rather carved downwards directly out of living rock, typically during the 12th and 13th centuries AD. King Lalibela, who reigned in the late 12th and early 13th centuries, is traditionally credited with their construction, aiming to create a new Jerusalem for Christian pilgrims unable to travel to the Holy Land. The sheer scale and intricate detail of these rock-hewn churches challenge the imagination and demonstrate an unparalleled mastery of stone carving and engineering. Each church is a single, massive piece of stone, entirely detached from the surrounding bedrock except at its base. The process of their creation involved several stages. First, a large trench was dug around the perimeter of the chosen rock mass, isolating a rectangular or cruciform block of stone. This initial excavation defined the outer shape of the future church. This trench alone required the removal of vast quantities of rock. The size of these trenches can be considerable, reaching depths of over 50 feet for the larger churches, such as Bet Georgis or St. George's Church. Once the outer form was defined, the builders then began to carve the interior of the church. This involved meticulously removing rock to create aisles, naves, altars, columns, arches, windows, and decorative elements like crucifixes and figures. Working downwards from the top, the stonemasons would have chipped away at the rock using hand tools, such as chisels, hammers, and picks. The precision required to carve out perfectly straight walls, symmetrical columns, and intricate details in the semi-hard volcanic tuff rock, all while working in confined spaces and without the benefit of exterior scaffolding, is astounding. The process had to be carefully planned to ensure the structural integrity of the church, preventing collapse during excavation. The churches are interconnected by a network of tunnels and passages, also carved out of the solid rock. These subterranean pathways link the various churches and offer hidden routes and chambers, further adding to the complexity of the site. Some of these tunnels are long and winding, passing through dark, narrow sections, and sometimes opening into larger courtyards or ceremonial spaces. This intricate web of passages demonstrates a comprehensive plan for the entire complex, not just individual churches. Drainage systems were also incorporated, with channels carved to divert rainwater away from the church foundations and courtyards, preventing erosion and water damage. Bet Georgis, dedicated to St. George, is perhaps the most iconic of the Lalibela churches. It is carved in the shape of a Greek cross and is completely surrounded by a deep trench. Its rooftop is at ground level, meaning visitors descend into a massive pit to reach the church's entrance. This particular church is celebrated for its perfect symmetry and the refined execution of its architectural details. The precision of its carving, maintaining consistent dimensions and angles over a large structure, highlights the extraordinary skill of the ancient Ethiopian builders. The motivation behind such an ambitious undertaking is believed to be deeply spiritual, an attempt to create a terrestrial representation of the sacred city of Jerusalem. The enduring nature of these rock-hewn structures, standing for nearly a millennium, speaks to their robust construction and the profound dedication of their creators. The churches of Lalibela remain a living pilgrimage site and an architectural mystery, prompting admiration for the unknown methods that allowed a pre-industrial society to sculpt monumental works of art from the very earth beneath their feet. The Gate of the Sun, or Puerta del Sol, is a monolithic stone archway located at the ancient archaeological site of Tiwanaku in western Bolivia. Tiwanaku was a powerful pre-Inca civilization that flourished in the Andean highlands from approximately 200 to 1000 AD, becoming a major ceremonial and political centre. While the entire site of Tiwanaku showcases impressive stone craftsmanship, the Gate of the Sun stands out as a unique and enigmatic artefact, renowned for its intricate carvings and its implied astronomical or calendrical significance. The Gate of the Sun is carved from a single, massive block of andesite, a very hard volcanic stone. It measures approximately 12 feet 5 inches wide and 9 feet high, with a thickness of about 1 foot 8 inches. The stone is estimated to weigh around 10 tons. The fact that such a large and heavy block was precisely quarried, transported, and then intricately carved with elaborate designs from a single piece of stone using only ancient tools is a testament to the advanced stoneworking capabilities of the Tiwanaku people. The andesite was sourced from quarries miles away, likely transported over challenging terrain using human labour and simple mechanisms such as ropes and rollers. The most captivating feature of the Gate of the Sun is its elaborate frieze, carved in low relief across the upper section of the monolithic arch. The central figure of the frieze is a deity or important personage, often referred to as the staff god or sun god. This figure is depicted frontally, holding a staff in each hand, and wears an elaborate headdress adorned with various animal motifs, including condors and pumas. Surrounding this central figure are 48 smaller winged figures arranged in 3 rows, facing the central deity. These smaller figures are highly stylized, some with human characteristics and others with bird or animal heads. Below the main frieze, a series of geometric patterns and additional figures adorn the lower section of the archway. The purpose and meaning of the Gate of the Sun, particularly its frieze, have been subjects of intense academic debate. Many scholars believe the carvings represent a complex astronomical calendar or a cosmological map. The central staff god is thought to represent the sun, and the surrounding winged figures, with their varying details, are theorized to represent different days, months, or astronomical cycles. Some interpretations suggest that the entire frieze functions as a sophisticated solar calendar, possibly marking solstices, equinoxes, or other significant celestial events relevant to the agricultural and ceremonial cycles of the Tiwanaku people. The precision of the carvings, particularly the repeating patterns and detailed iconography, suggests a deep understanding of observation and symbolic representation. Originally, the Gate of the Sun was part of a larger structure at Tiwanaku, most likely the Kalasasaya temple complex, a large open courtyard believed to have been an astronomical observatory. However, the gate was found lying on its side, broken into 2 pieces, when rediscovered by European explorers in the mid-19th century. Its original position, and the methods by which it was moved and erected within the Kalasasaya complex, remain subjects of speculation. The Gate of the Sun is not only an artistic masterpiece, but also a crucial piece of evidence that highlights the advanced intellectual achievements of the Tiwanaku civilization, particularly their sophisticated knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and their ability to translate complex concepts into enduring stone monuments. Great Zimbabwe is the largest and most significant ancient ruin in sub-Saharan Africa, located in the southeastern hills of Zimbabwe. This monumental stone city, which flourished from approximately 1100 to 1500 AD, was the capital of a powerful pre-colonial kingdom and served as a royal palace for its rulers. What makes Great Zimbabwe truly extraordinary is its unique architecture, characterized by massive mortarless stone walls, towers, and enclosures built with exceptional skill and on an impressive scale. The name Zimbabwe itself is believed to derive from a Shona phrase meaning houses of stone or venerated houses. The site is divided into three main architectural zones: the hill ruin, the great enclosure, and the valley ruins. The most iconic structures are the dry stone walls, constructed entirely without the use of mortar or binding material. Instead, the stability of these walls relies solely on the precise placement of individual granite blocks, carefully cut and fitted together. This technique, known as dry stone masonry, requires immense skill in selecting, shaping, and interlocking stones to create durable and stable structures. The granite blocks were typically shaped into uniform sizes, often resembling bricks, which allowed for systematic stacking in regular courses. The Great Enclosure is the most impressive structure at the site, featuring a massive elliptical outer wall that is over 800 feet long and up to 36 feet high in some sections, with a base thickness of over 16 feet. This enormous wall encircles a complex series of interior walls, passages, and structures. One of its most distinctive features is the conical tower, a solid stone structure standing over 30 feet tall, built within the Great Enclosure's inner wall. The purpose of this tower remains a subject of debate, though it is widely believed to have had symbolic or religious significance. The construction of these vast walls required immense resources and a highly organized labor force. The granite was sourced from nearby outcrops, likely quarried by splitting the rock using controlled heating and cooling methods, or by exploiting natural fractures. Once quarried, the stone blocks had to be transported to the building site. While the distances were not as great as those for some Egyptian or South American megaliths, the sheer volume of stone moved was enormous. The precise shaping and fitting of millions of individual blocks without mortar speaks to an advanced understanding of engineering principles and a mastery of stone cutting. The walls are remarkably stable, having withstood centuries of exposure to the elements without collapsing. The purpose of Great Zimbabwe's walls was multifaceted. They served not only as defensive structures, providing protection for the royal court and elite residents, but also as symbols of power, status, and social hierarchy. The complex internal layout of the enclosures suggests a carefully planned urban environment with distinct areas for residences, ceremonial activities, and possibly administrative functions. The discovery of artifacts from distant lands such as Chinese porcelain, Arab coins, and glass beads indicates that Great Zimbabwe was a significant trading hub, connecting with coastal ports and distant trade networks across the Indian Ocean. The civilization responsible for Great Zimbabwe flourished for over 300 years before its eventual decline, possibly due to environmental factors, trade route shifts, or political instability. The legacy of Great Zimbabwe stands as a powerful refutation of colonial-era theories that denied the capacity of indigenous African peoples to build such sophisticated structures. It remains a profound symbol of the advanced civilization that thrived in southern Africa, demonstrating architectural and engineering achievements that are truly remarkable for their time and context. Mesa Verde, located in southwestern Colorado in the United States, is an extraordinary archaeological site that preserves thousands of ancestral Puebloan cliff dwellings. Flourishing between approximately 600 and 1300 AD, the ancestral Puebloans, formerly known as Anasazi, constructed their homes and communities directly within the natural alcoves and caves of the canyon walls. These cliff dwellings represent a pinnacle of adaptive architecture and engineering, demonstrating remarkable ingenuity in utilizing the natural landscape for shelter, defense, and sustainable living. The cliff dwellings vary in size and complexity, ranging from small single-room storage units to sprawling multi-story villages that could house hundreds of people. Some of the most famous examples include Cliff Palace, Longhouse, and Balcony House. Cliff Palace, the largest and perhaps best known, contains about 150 rooms and 23 kivas, which are circular subterranean chambers used for ceremonial purposes. These structures were meticulously built using readily available local materials: sandstone blocks, often shaped with basic stone tools and mortar made from clay and water. Timber beams, likely harvested from the mesa top, were used for roofing and floor supports. The location of these dwellings within the alcoves provided several advantages. The overhanging cliff face offered natural protection from the elements, including rain, snow, and the hot summer sun. The dwellings remained relatively cool in summer and warm in winter, thanks to the natural insulation of the rock and their south-facing orientation, which maximised solar gain during the colder months. Furthermore, the elevated positions of the cliff dwellings provided a strong defensive advantage. Access to many of these sites was challenging, often requiring climbing ropes, handholds, and narrow passages, making them difficult for potential adversaries to reach. The construction process involved a blend of adapting to the natural contours of the alcoves and precise masonry. The ancestral Puebloan builders would select suitable alcoves and then construct their multi-storied rooms by carefully stacking and mortaring sandstone blocks. The walls were often plastered with a smooth layer of adobe or clay. They designed complex living spaces, including residential rooms, storage areas for maize and other provisions, and the kivas that served as central community and ritual spaces. The roofs were typically constructed using a framework of wooden beams covered with brush, mud, and plaster. Water management was crucial for survival in this arid environment. The Puebloans developed sophisticated systems to collect and conserve water, including small check dams to capture runoff and seepage from natural springs within the alcoves. They also cultivated crops like maize, beans, and squash on the mesa tops, often using dry farming techniques or terracing to conserve moisture. Paths, handholds, and ladders, sometimes carved directly into the cliff faces, connected the cliff dwellings to the mesa tops where farming and resource gathering took place. Around 1300 AD, the ancestral Puebloans mysteriously abandoned their cliff dwellings and the Mesa Verde region. The reasons for this mass exodus are debated, but leading theories include prolonged drought, resource depletion, social or political unrest, or perhaps a combination of these factors. Despite their departure, the structures remain remarkably well preserved due to the dry, sheltered environment. The cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde stand as a powerful testament to the resourcefulness, engineering skill, and cultural sophistication of the ancestral Puebloan people, who created thriving communities in one of the most challenging and visually stunning landscapes. The island of Sardinia, located in the Mediterranean Sea, is dotted with thousands of unique ancient stone structures known as nuraghe. These conical or truncated cone-shaped defensive towers are the most significant architectural legacy of the Nuragic civilization, which flourished on the island from approximately 1800 to 800 years before Christ, spanning the Bronze and early Iron Ages. While their exact number is debated, estimates range from 7,000 to 10,000, suggesting that nearly every valley and hill on the island once featured at least one nuraghe. Their robust construction and strategic placement across the landscape highlight a highly organized and fortified society. The typical nuraghe is a dry stone structure, meaning no mortar was used in its construction. The walls are made of massive, unworked or roughly worked stone blocks, primarily basalt or granite, which are simply stacked upon one another. The walls are thick, often tapering slightly inwards as they rise, creating a remarkably stable and robust structure. The interior typically features a central chamber with a corbelled vault, where each successive layer of stones projects slightly inward until the top is closed by a single capstone. This corbelling technique, creating a false dome, is a hallmark of Nuragic architecture and demonstrates an impressive understanding of structural mechanics. Nuraghe vary in complexity. The simplest type is a single, isolated tower, often reaching heights of 50 to 60 feet. More complex examples, known as complex nuraghe, consist of multiple towers connected by defensive walls, forming intricate fortresses. These larger complexes often include courtyards, additional chambers, and even elaborate internal staircases carved within the thick walls, leading to upper levels or battlements. The largest nuraghe, such as Su Nuraxi di Barumini, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, incorporate multiple towers within a formidable defensive bastion. The primary purpose of the nuraghe is widely believed to have been defensive. Their strategic placement on hills, ridges, or commanding positions allowed for excellent visibility over the surrounding territory, enabling the detection of approaching enemies. The thick, unbreachable walls provided protection against attacks, and their internal design would have allowed defenders to repel invaders from within. Beyond defense, Nuraga likely served multiple functions, as residential strongholds for clan leaders, storage facilities for goods, meeting places for communal activities, and perhaps even as symbols of power and status for various communities. Their widespread distribution suggests a fragmented society, possibly composed of numerous tribal groups, each with its own fortified centre. The construction of these thousands of nuraga represents a monumental collective effort by the Nuragic people. Quarrying the massive stone blocks, some weighing many tons, would have required significant labour using rudimentary tools. Transportation to the building sites, often uphill, would have involved dragging the stones on sledges, using human and possibly oxen power. The precise stacking of the irregular blocks without mortar, ensuring structural integrity and stability for centuries, speaks to a highly skilled class of stonemasons and an advanced understanding of empirical engineering principles. The decline of the Nuragic civilization is linked to the arrival of Phoenician, Carthaginian, and later Roman influences, which gradually integrated Sardinia into wider Mediterranean trade networks and empires. While many nuragi are now in ruins, their sheer number and resilient construction stand as a unique architectural legacy. The Nuraga of Sardinia remain a powerful testament to an ancient indigenous culture that developed a distinct and sophisticated defensive architecture, marking the landscape with thousands of enduring stone sentinels. Borobudur, located in central Java, Indonesia, is the world's largest Buddhist temple and a masterpiece of ancient architecture and spiritual symbolism. Built in the 9th century AD, likely between 760 and 825 AD, during the reign of the Sailendra dynasty, this massive stone structure stands as a powerful testament to the skill, devotion, and philosophical depth of its builders. Unlike most temples that are built to enclose space, Borobudur is conceived as a monumental stupa, designed for circumambulation and spiritual ascent. The temple is constructed on a natural hill, which was then encased in stone to form a series of 9 stacked platforms. These platforms consist of 6 square lower terraces and 3 circular upper terraces, culminating in a central stupa. The entire structure is made from approximately 2 million blocks of grey andesite stone, quarried from nearby volcanoes. These blocks were meticulously cut, shaped, and then dry-laid, with no mortar used to bind them. The immense volume of stone used and the precision of its assembly reflect a highly organised workforce and sophisticated engineering. The layout of Borobudur is a grand cosmic and spiritual diagram. As pilgrims ascend the temple, they journey through 3 main conceptual levels, representing the Buddhist cosmology. The lowest levels, known as Kamadhatu, the world of desires, are adorned with intricate relief panels depicting human vices and earthly pleasures, though some of these are now hidden by a later foundation. The middle levels, Rupadhatu, the world of forms, feature thousands of detailed relief panels illustrating the life of Buddha and stories from Buddhist scriptures. These panels, numbering over 2,600, stretch for miles if laid end to end, forming the largest and most complete collection of Buddhist reliefs in the world. Their artistic quality and narrative depth are exceptional. As pilgrims ascend further to the circular upper terraces, they enter Arupadhatu, the world of formlessness. These levels are simpler in design, featuring no relief carvings, but are adorned with 72 smaller perforated stupas, each containing a statue of Buddha. The openwork design of these smaller stupas allows glimpses of the Buddha images inside, creating a sense of anticipation and gradual revelation. The journey culminates at the large central stupa, which is empty, symbolizing the ultimate state of nirvana, beyond form and representation. The engineering of Borobudur is remarkable. The structure is essentially a large stone pyramid or terraced mound, and its stability relies on the precise interlocking of its thousands of stone blocks. The builders incorporated advanced drainage systems to manage rainwater, crucial for preventing erosion and preserving the integrity of the immense stone structure over centuries of tropical monsoons. The integration of the temple with the natural hill and its carefully planned orientation to the cardinal directions further highlight the builder's architectural and spiritual vision. Borobudur was abandoned sometime in the 14th century, likely due to the shift of power to eastern Java and the conversion of the island's population to Islam. For centuries, it lay hidden and overgrown by volcanic ash and jungle vegetation until its rediscovery and subsequent restoration efforts in the 19th and 20th centuries. Today, Borobudur stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and an active place of pilgrimage, a monumental testament to ancient Java's profound Buddhist faith and its unparalleled artistic and engineering achievements. Serpent Mound, located in Adams County, Ohio, United States, is an ancient effigy mound, a type of earthwork shaped to resemble an animal. This massive winding earthwork depicts a serpent, and it is the largest and most famous effigy mound in North America. Its construction date and the identity of its builders have been subjects of considerable archaeological debate, with current consensus attributing it primarily to the Fort Ancient culture around 1100 AD, though some theories suggest an older Adena culture origin, dating back to 300 years before Christ. Regardless of the exact date, the sheer scale of the mound and its subtle but significant astronomical alignments make it an enduring mystery. The Serpent Mound is an impressive earthwork, measuring approximately 1,348 feet in length from its coiled tail to its open mouth. It is built along a ridge overlooking Brush Creek and consists of a low, undulating earthen wall, typically 3 feet high and 20 to 25 feet wide at its base. The serpent's body winds in 7 large coils, and its head points northeast, towards the summer solstice sunrise. The head features an oval earthwork, approximately 100 feet long, which may represent the serpent's eye or an egg in its mouth. The construction of Serpent Mound would have been a labour-intensive undertaking for the ancient mound builders. Without the aid of modern earth-moving equipment, thousands of cubic feet of earth and stones would have been transported by hand, using baskets and simple tools, to create the precise shape of the serpent. The builders would have needed to carefully plan the layout on the ground to achieve the desired form and maintain its integrity over such a long and winding course. This suggests a sophisticated understanding of surveying and design by a non-literate society. One of the most compelling aspects of Serpent Mound is its possible astronomical alignments. The head of the serpent points to the summer solstice sunrise, while the coils and curves of its body appear to align with other significant solar and lunar events, such as the winter solstice sunrise and the equinox sunrises. While some alignments are more definitively established than others, the strong correlation with key celestial phenomena suggests that the mound functioned as a precise astronomical calendar or observatory. It may have been used to mark seasonal changes, crucial for agricultural cycles, or for ceremonial purposes related to the movements of the sun and moon. This alignment indicates a deep observational knowledge of the sky by its creators. The purpose of Serpent Mound remains speculative. Beyond its potential astronomical function, it may have served as a ceremonial site for rituals, a place of spiritual significance connected to a serpent deity, or a marker of sacred territory. The fact that no burials or structures have been found within the mound itself suggests it was not a burial site in the conventional sense, unlike many other mounds in the Ohio Valley. Its location on a high promontory and its prominent form would have made it a highly visible and symbolic landscape feature. The mystery of Serpent Mound extends to its builders. While current archaeological consensus attributes it to the Fort Ancient culture, who inhabited the area later than the Adena and Hopewell cultures known for their complex earthworks, the stylistic differences from typical Fort Ancient mounds have led some to reconsider older origins. Regardless of its exact builders, Serpent Mound stands as a powerful testament to the sophisticated cosmological knowledge, engineering skills, and spiritual beliefs of the ancient indigenous peoples of North America. It remains an enduring symbol of their connection to the land and the sky. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, a remote volcanic island in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, is world-renowned for its iconic colossal stone statues known as moai. Carved by the ancient Rapa Nui people between approximately 1100 and 1600 AD, these monolithic human figures, with their distinctive large heads and solemn expressions, stand as a profound mystery, particularly concerning how they were carved, transported, and erected across the island. The moai are not merely statues but represent the deified ancestors of the Rapa Nui people, embodying spiritual power and serving as protectors of their communities. There are nearly 1,000 known moai in various stages of completion scattered across the island. Most of them were carved from a relatively soft, easily workable volcanic tuff found at the Rano Raraku quarry, a volcanic crater on the island's eastern side. The average moai stands about 13 feet tall and weighs approximately 14 tons, though some are much larger. The largest standing moai, called Pero, is 32 feet tall and weighs about 82 tons. The largest uncompleted moai in the quarry is 69 feet long and would have weighed an estimated 270 tons. The sheer number and massive scale of these carvings demonstrate a highly organised society capable of mobilising and directing immense labour and resources over centuries. The process of carving the moai from the quarry was a monumental undertaking. Using basic stone tools, likely basalt adzes and picks, teams of carvers would chip away at the volcanic rock, shaping the statues directly from the rock face. The statues were carved face up, attached to the bedrock by a keel, which was then detached after the main carving was complete. Evidence in the quarry shows unfinished moai, sometimes with broken tools nearby, offering insights into their methods. The carving required precision and skill to maintain the distinctive features and proportions of the moai across many different carvers and teams. The most enduring mystery of the moai is their transportation from the Rano Raraku quarry to various ceremonial platforms, or ahu, located along the island's coastline. The distances varied from a few miles to over 6 miles. With no draft animals, wheels, or strong timber available for large-scale sledges, the Rapa Nui people had to rely solely on human power and ingenuity. Theories for transportation generally fall into 2 categories: horizontal dragging or vertical walking. Horizontal dragging theories suggest the moai were pulled on wooden sledges over rollers or lubricated tracks. This would have required hundreds of people to pull a single large statue using complex rope systems. This method would have been incredibly slow and resource-intensive, requiring vast amounts of timber for rollers, which eventually led to significant deforestation on the island. The walking theories propose that the moai were moved upright, or slightly tilted, by rocking them back and forth using ropes. As the statue tilted, teams of people would pull on ropes to swing it forward, essentially walking the statue across the landscape. This method is supported by the fact that many fallen moai are found along ancient roads, face down, as if they tumbled forward during an upright movement. Archaeological experiments have shown that this walking method is feasible for smaller moai with a relatively small number of people. Finally, the moai had to be erected onto their ahu platforms, some of which were substantial stone structures. This final stage would have involved digging pits and using levers, ropes, and small stones or gravel to gradually ratchet the statues upright. The entire process of carving, transporting, and erecting the moai consumed enormous resources and labour, leading to significant environmental and societal changes on Easter Island. The colossal stone heads stand as a powerful symbol of human determination, spiritual devotion, and the complex interplay between culture and environment. Poverty Point, located in northeastern Louisiana, United States, is an extraordinary archaeological site featuring one of the largest and most complex ancient earthwork constructions in North America. Built by a sophisticated hunter-gatherer society of the Poverty Point culture, this monumental site dates back to approximately 1,700 to 1,100 years before Christ, placing it firmly within the late Archaic period. Its immense scale and precise geometric layout, created by people without agriculture, metal tools, or domesticated animals, challenge conventional understanding of early societal organization in the Americas. The core of Poverty Point consists of a series of 6 concentric C-shaped earthen ridges, separated by ditches or swales. These ridges are truncated by 5 aisles or spokes that radiate outwards from the center of the complex, like the spokes of a wheel. The outermost ridge measures approximately 3/4 of a mile in diameter, while the innermost is about 1/4 of a mile across. The entire complex covers an area of about 600 acres. At the western end of the site, a large, flat-topped, bird-shaped mound known as Mound A rises to a height of 72 feet and is over 600 feet long across its wingspan. Several other smaller mounds are also scattered throughout the site. The sheer volume of earth moved to construct these ridges and mounds is staggering. Estimates suggest that over 1.6 million cubic yards of earth were excavated and piled to create the entire complex. This would have been accomplished using only simple tools such as baskets for carrying soil and digging implements made from wood or bone. The construction would have required a massive coordinated labour force, working over many decades or even centuries. This level of organised effort is highly unusual for a hunter-gatherer society, which are typically characterised by smaller, more mobile groups. The existence of poverty points suggests a high degree of social complexity, possibly a hierarchical structure, or a strong communal leadership capable of mobilising vast amounts of labour. The precise geometric layout of the concentric ridges and radiating aisles is particularly puzzling. The builders managed to maintain consistent spacing and alignment over a vast area, indicating a sophisticated understanding of surveying and design. How they achieved such precision without advanced surveying instruments or detailed plans is still unknown. Some theories suggest the use of ropes, stakes, and observation of celestial bodies to lay out the complex. The purpose of these massive earthworks is also debated. While they likely served as a large-scale ceremonial or ritual centre, their concentric design may also have facilitated communal gatherings, marketplaces, or even residential spaces, as evidence of occupation has been found along the ridges. The materials used for the construction were primarily local soils, but the site also contains millions of small baked clay objects, known as poverty point objects or PPOs, which were likely used for cooking. The presence of exotic stone materials such as chert, jasper and hematite, sourced from hundreds of miles away, indicates that Poverty Point was a major trade hub. Its location near a major river system, the Mississippi River, would have facilitated long-distance exchange networks, bringing goods and possibly people from across the southeastern United States. The decline of the Poverty Point culture around 1100 BC is not fully understood, but it may have been related to climate change or shifts in trade networks. Despite its eventual abandonment, Poverty Point remains a remarkable testament to the ingenuity and organisational capabilities of ancient indigenous societies in North America. It stands as a unique and enduring symbol of a complex prehistoric culture that built monumental earthworks on a scale unparalleled for its time in the region. The Antikythera mechanism is an extraordinary artefact from ancient Greece, discovered in 1901 by sponge divers off the coast of Antikythera Island in the Aegean Sea, within the wreck of an ancient Roman cargo ship. This bronze device, recovered in numerous corroded fragments, was not immediately recognised for its true nature due to its heavily encrusted state. Subsequent scientific investigations, particularly in the late 20th and early 21st centuries using X-ray tomography, revealed its astonishing complexity. It is a sophisticated mechanical calculator designed to predict astronomical positions and eclipses with remarkable accuracy, a technology seemingly far ahead of its time. The device dates back to approximately 150 to 100 BC, during the Hellenistic period. When first found, it appeared to be a mere collection of corroded bronze gears and plates. Modern analysis has pieced together its internal workings, revealing a mechanism of at least 37 precisely cut bronze gears, housed within a wooden case with dials on its exterior. The gears were arranged in an intricate system of intermeshing trains and included a differential gear, a complex component that allows the algebraic sum or difference of two inputs to be computed. The presence of a differential gear in such an ancient device is particularly astounding, as this technology was not known to have been reinvented until the 14th century AD, over 1,500 years later. The primary function of the Antikythera mechanism was astronomical computation. It could track the movements of the Sun and Moon, including their phases, and likely the positions of at least 5 planets known to the ancients: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Its complex gearing allowed it to model the irregular motion of the Moon across the sky, taking into account elliptical orbits, a concept not fully understood until many centuries later. The front dial displayed the Greek zodiac and a calendar, while the back dial showed a 19-year Metonic cycle for predicting solar and lunar eclipses and a 76-year Callipic cycle. Another dial was dedicated to predicting the dates of ancient athletic games, including the Olympic Games, reflecting the integration of astronomical cycles with cultural events. The operation of the device would have involved turning a small hand crank which would set all the gears in motion, moving pointers on the various dials to display the calculated astronomical data. The precision of the gear cutting, with teeth just over 1 millimeter in length, points to an advanced level of mechanical craftsmanship that was unparalleled in its era. The very existence of such a device demonstrates that ancient Greek science and engineering reached a pinnacle of sophistication that was later lost or forgotten during the intervening centuries, only to be rediscovered in the Renaissance and beyond. The context of its discovery on a shipwreck suggests it was a valuable item, perhaps being transported as part of a treasure or a scientific instrument for a wealthy individual or an astronomical academy. The Antikythera mechanism challenges the notion that ancient technology was primitive and simplistic. Instead, it offers a glimpse into a period where highly complex mechanical devices were conceived and constructed, suggesting a rich tradition of inventive engineering that's only partially understood through surviving records. Its continued study not only unravels the mysteries of its own operation, but also sheds light on the depth of ancient Greek scientific knowledge and their capacity for sophisticated mechanical design. The artifact popularly known as the Baghdad Battery is a series of objects discovered in 1936 in Kujut Rabu, near Baghdad, Iraq. While its precise function remains a subject of considerable debate among archaeologists and scientists, some theories propose it could have served as an ancient electrical battery. The objects are generally dated to the Parthian era, roughly between 250 years before Christ and 224 AD, though some researchers suggest a Sassanid origin, extending into the 7th century AD. The Baghdad battery consists of 3 main components: a ceramic pot or jar, approximately 5.5 inches tall, a copper cylinder inserted inside the jar, and an iron rod suspended within the copper cylinder. The copper cylinder was sealed at the bottom with an asphalt stopper, and another asphalt stopper held the iron rod in place at the top, isolating the 2 metals from each other. If an acidic liquid such as vinegar, wine, or fruit juice were poured into the jar, it would act as an electrolyte, creating an electrochemical reaction between the copper and the iron, potentially generating a small electrical current. Experimental reconstructions using similar materials and acidic solutions have indeed produced a voltage of approximately 0.8 to 1.5 volts. The theory that these objects were ancient batteries suggests that the people of the time might have been aware of electricity and its generation, even if they did not fully understand its principles. If they were indeed batteries, their potential uses are also debated. One prominent hypothesis, put forth by German Egyptologist Wilhelm Koenig, who first studied the artifacts, suggested they might have been used for electroplating, a process of depositing a thin layer of one metal onto another. For example, a small current could be used to gold plate silver ornaments or copper items. However, definitive archaeological evidence of ancient electroplating from this period and region is scarce, and the quality of any such plating would likely have been very thin and difficult to detect after millennia. Other proposed uses include medical applications, such as pain relief through electrostimulation, or even for ritualistic or magical purposes, perhaps to provide a mild electric shock during religious ceremonies, or to light a lamp in a temple, although the voltage produced is very low for significant illumination. The lack of associated wires or other electrical apparatus at the discovery site means that the direct application of this potential electrical current is not definitively proven. Alternative theories suggest more mundane uses for the Baghdad battery. It could have been a storage vessel for scrolls, herbs, or other perishable goods, with the copper and iron components perhaps intended to create an airtight seal or to ward off pests. Some have suggested it was used in a specific type of metalworking process, but not necessarily for generating electricity. The asphalt, which is a common sealant in ancient Mesopotamia, would serve well in a storage context. The biggest challenge to the battery theory is the absence of direct textual or archaeological evidence from the period explicitly describing the use of electricity or electrical devices. While the components could theoretically generate a charge, there is no conclusive proof that ancient peoples understood or applied this capability for practical purposes. Therefore, the Baghdad battery remains an intriguing anomaly, a curiosity that prompts questions about lost ancient knowledge but lacks definitive answers. Ancient Roman concrete, known as opus cementitium, stands as one of the most remarkable engineering achievements of the classical world. Developed over 2,000 years ago, it allowed the Romans to construct monumental and enduring structures, many of which still stand today, including massive harbours, aqueducts, bridges, and the iconic Pantheon. What makes Roman concrete particularly astonishing is its exceptional durability, especially in harsh marine environments, a property that in some respects surpasses the performance of modern concrete. The key to Roman concrete's strength and longevity lies in its unique composition. Unlike modern Portland cement concrete, which relies on calcined limestone and other materials, Roman concrete utilized a specific type of volcanic ash called pozzolana, named after the town of Pozzuoli near Naples, where it was abundant. The mixture typically consisted of pozzolana, lime, and various aggregates such as volcanic rock fragments, brick shards, or tufa. Crucially, in many applications, particularly for marine structures, seawater was used as the mixing water. The chemical interaction between pozzolana and lime in the presence of water, especially salt water, created a material with extraordinary properties. Pozzolana is rich in silica and alumina, which react with calcium hydroxide, produced by the hydration of lime, to form calcium silicate hydrate and calcium aluminate silicate hydrate compounds. These compounds are highly stable and contribute to the concrete's impressive compressive strength. In marine environments, the presence of seawater further enhanced this reaction. Modern research has shown that certain minerals within the Roman concrete, such as aluminum tobermorite and philipsite, continue to grow and strengthen over centuries when exposed to seawater. This process, often referred to as a self-healing mechanism, allowed the concrete to become stronger and more resistant to cracking over time, even in the corrosive environment of the ocean. Modern Portland cement concrete, while strong, is vulnerable to degradation from sulfates and chlorides present in seawater, which can lead to cracking and spalling. Roman concrete, by contrast, seems to thrive in these conditions. This is evident in Roman harbour structures, such as those at Caesarea Maritima or Portus, which have withstood constant wave action and chemical attack for nearly 2 millennia. The ability to construct massive, durable port facilities was critical to the Roman Empire's logistical and economic success. The Pantheon in Rome, built in the 2nd century AD, exemplifies the exceptional capabilities of Roman concrete on land. Its massive dome, spanning 142 feet and made entirely of unreinforced concrete, remains the largest and oldest unsupported concrete dome in the world. The builders skillfully varied the aggregate composition within the dome, using lighter materials towards the apex to reduce weight, showcasing a sophisticated understanding of structural engineering. The knowledge of Roman concrete construction largely faded after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. The specific recipes and techniques, particularly the effective use of pozzolana and seawater, were not fully rediscovered until relatively recently. Modern scientists and engineers are now studying Roman concrete intently, hoping to learn from its unique durability and potentially develop more sustainable and long-lasting concrete materials for contemporary construction. Materials that could even offer environmental benefits due to lower energy consumption in production compared to modern cement. The Nazca Lines are a series of massive geoglyphs etched into the arid desert plains of the Nazca region in southern Peru. Created by the ancient Nazca culture, primarily between 500 years before Christ and 500 AD, these enormous designs cover hundreds of square miles and depict various figures, including animals, plants, human-like forms, and intricate geometric shapes such as trapezoids, triangles, and spirals, as well as vast straight lines stretching for miles across the landscape. The sheer scale of these creations and the mystery of how they were precisely formed, without the benefit of aerial perspective, remain one of archaeology's most enduring puzzles. The Nazca Lines were created by simply removing the dark reddish-brown pebbles that cover the desert surface, exposing the lighter, yellowish-white soil underneath. The shallow trenches, typically ranging from 4 to 6 inches deep, outline the designs. The arid and windless climate of the Nazca Pampa has preserved these geoglyphs for centuries, as there is little rainfall to erode them, and the surface stones help to deflect wind. The figures vary greatly in size. For instance, the famous hummingbird measures over 300 feet long. The spider is 150 feet long, and some of the geometric trapezoids can be thousands of feet in length. The straight lines are the most numerous and can extend for several miles, maintaining remarkable rectilinearity over undulating terrain. The central enigma of the Nazca lines is how their creators achieved such precise and massive designs without the ability to observe them from an aerial viewpoint. While some natural hills provide a limited perspective, none are high enough to view the largest figures or the entire extent of the complex geometric patterns. This has led to numerous theories regarding the methods employed by the Nazca people. One widely accepted theory suggests that the Nazca used simple but effective surveying techniques. They might have created small-scale models or drawings on the ground first. Then, using a system of stakes, ropes, and sighting lines, they could have scaled up these designs. For instance, by establishing a central point and radiating lines, or by using grids, they could transfer proportions from a smaller drawing to the large desert canvas. Straight lines could have been achieved by stretching long chords between 2 points. Complex figures might have been broken down into simpler geometric components. The consistent width and depth of the lines over long distances indicate careful planning and execution. The purpose of the Nazca lines is also a subject of ongoing scholarly debate. One prominent theory suggests an astronomical or calendrical function. Many of the straight lines align with significant celestial events, such as the rising or setting of the sun or moon on solstices and equinoxes, or with the positions of certain stars. This could have aided agricultural planning or marked important ceremonial dates. Other theories propose that the lines were part of a complex system related to water, possibly indicating underground water sources, or serving as pathways for rituals seeking water, a crucial resource in the desert. Some scholars believe they were processional routes for religious ceremonies, or offerings to deities, with the figures perhaps representing sacred animals or cosmological symbols intended to be seen by the gods in the sky. The construction of the Nazca lines represents a monumental effort by a society with a deep understanding of geometry, observation, and communal organization. The very act of creating these vast, enduring symbols without direct overhead vision underscores the ingenuity and spiritual or practical motivations of the Nazca culture, whose intricate designs continue to fascinate and challenge modern comprehension. The Olmec civilization, which flourished in the tropical lowlands of south-central Mexico from approximately 1,400 to 400 years before Christ, is considered Mesoamerica's first major civilization. Among their most iconic and enigmatic artistic creations are the colossal basalt heads. These monumental sculptures are a defining feature of Olmec art and provide powerful insights into their culture, leadership, and remarkable engineering capabilities. 17 of these colossal heads have been discovered to date at various Olmec sites, most notably San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapotes. Each colossal head is a massive single piece of basalt rock. They vary significantly in size, with the smallest standing about 5 feet tall and weighing around 6 tons, while the largest, San Lorenzo Colossal Head 1, is over 9 feet tall and weighs an estimated 40 tons. Each head depicts a mature male with distinctive facial features, thick lips, a broad nose, and almond-shaped eyes, often sporting helmet-like headgear with unique designs. The individuality of the features suggests they are portraits of powerful Olmec rulers, serving as symbols of their authority and prestige. The most extraordinary aspect of these sculptures, beyond their artistic quality, is the immense logistical challenge involved in their creation. The basalt stone used for the heads was sourced from volcanic quarries located in the Tuxtla Mountains, which are many miles away from the major Olmec centers, where the heads were ultimately placed. For example, the heads at La Venta were transported over 80 miles from their quarry. The basalt is an extremely hard volcanic rock, making its quarrying and carving a formidable task with the tools available to the Olmec. Without the benefit of metal tools or explosives, the Olmec likely used harder stone tools, such as hammerstones made of basalt itself, to peck away at the rock and shape the heads directly from the quarry face. This process would have been incredibly slow and labour-intensive, requiring immense physical effort and a large, skilled workforce. The final carving and polishing of the facial features and helmet details would have demanded exceptional artistic talent and precision. The transportation of these multi-ton basalt blocks from the distant quarries to the Olmec ceremonial centres presents the greatest engineering mystery. The Olmec did not possess wheeled vehicles or draft animals. Theories for their movement primarily involve human power and ingenious methods. it is believed that the colossal heads were dragged on massive wooden sledges over prepared earthen roads. During the rainy season, when rivers swelled, it is also plausible that the heads were loaded onto large rafts and floated down rivers to get closer to their final destinations. The sheer coordination and number of people required to move even a single 40-ton head over many miles of challenging terrain would have been immense, signifying a highly centralized and powerful leadership structure within the Olmec society, capable of mobilizing and directing thousands of laborers. Once at the ceremonial sites, the heads would have been precisely positioned on earthen platforms or within plazas. Some heads show evidence of having been repurposed or recarved, and many were found buried, sometimes intentionally, possibly as part of ritual acts of abandonment or mutilation after the death of a ruler or a shift in power. The Olmec colossal heads stand as a profound testament to the artistic vision, organizational capacity, and engineering prowess of Mesoamerica's earliest civilization, symbolizing their deep respect for their leaders and their ability to command vast human resources to create enduring monuments. The Aztec calendar stone, also known as the Stone of the Sun, or Quochacali in Nahuatl, is a monumental basalt disc created by the Aztec civilization of Mesoamerica. This single, massive stone sculpture is not, in fact, a functioning calendar, but rather a ceremonial monument, likely used for ritual sacrifices and as a representation of the Aztec cosmos, time, and religious beliefs. It was carved during the late post-classic period, likely in the late 15th century, under the reign of the Aztec emperor Axayacatl, around the year 1479. The stone was discovered in Mexico City in 1790, buried beneath the central plaza. The Aztec calendar stone is a colossal piece of dark grey basalt, measuring approximately 12 feet in diameter and weighing about 24 tons. Its intricate surface is covered with a dense array of carvings, organized in concentric rings, each representing different aspects of the Aztec worldview. The central face depicts the sun deity, Tonatiuh, or possibly the earth monster Tlaltecuhtli, with clawed hands holding human hearts and a sacrificial blade as a tongue. This central image is surrounded by symbols representing the 4 previous cosmological eras, or suns, that the Aztecs believed had been destroyed before their own 5th sun. These 4 symbols are the 4 jaguar, 4 wind, 4 rain, and 4 water. The next concentric ring contains 20 glyphs, each representing a day of the Aztec calendar, forming the 260-day ritual calendar, or Tonalpohualli, and the 365-day civil calendar, or Xiuhpohualli. The combination of these 2 cycles produced a 52-year century, a significant period in Aztec cosmology. Further rings feature symbols representing rays of the sun, and the outermost band is adorned with 2 fire serpents, Xiuhpohualli, whose tails meet at the bottom and whose heads meet at the top, symbolizing the cyclical nature of time and the universe. The serpents carry images of the years, indicating the specific date of the stone's dedication. The challenge of carving such a massive and detailed stone without metal tools was immense. The Aztecs primarily used tools made of harder stones, such as obsidian, flint, and basalt, along with abrasive sands and water for grinding and polishing. The basalt itself is a very hard and dense volcanic rock, making the intricate relief carving a slow and arduous process. The artist would have pecked away at the surface using stone hammers and chisels, gradually shaping the complex iconography with remarkable precision and depth. The uniformity of the lines and the detail of the figures across such a large surface speak to the exceptional skill and coordinated effort of the Aztec stone carvers. The stone's original location was likely the main ceremonial plaza of Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, where it would have been prominently displayed. It was probably positioned horizontally, perhaps for sacrificial ceremonies that enacted the cycles depicted on its surface. The astronomical and calendrical knowledge embedded in the stone is highly sophisticated, reflecting the Aztecs' keen observation of celestial movements and their integration into their complex religious and social life. The Aztec calendar stone stands as a profound testament to their advanced understanding of time, cosmology, and their impressive artistic and engineering capabilities. The Inca Empire, which flourished in the Andean region of South America from the early 13th century, until the Spanish conquest in the early 16th century built one of the most extensive and advanced road systems in the ancient world. Known as the Capacñan, or Royal Road, this vast network stretched for approximately 25,000 miles, connecting the empire's furthest reaches from present-day Colombia in the north to central Chile and Argentina in the south, traversing some of the most challenging mountainous terrain on Earth. This sophisticated infrastructure, built without the use of wheeled vehicles or draft animals, was a key factor in the Incas' ability to control and administer their vast empire. The Incan road network was not a single highway, but a complex system of interconnected routes designed to facilitate communication, troop movements, trade, and the rapid relay of official messages by specialized runners called chasqui. The network consisted of two primary north-south routes, one traversing the high Andes and another running along the coast. These main arteries were linked by numerous transversal roads, forming a grid-like system that could adapt to the diverse geographical conditions of the empire. The roads were remarkably well engineered, considering the mountainous landscape they often traversed. Inca engineers demonstrated exceptional skill in adapting the roads to the extreme Andean topography. They utilized natural contours to minimize steep grades, but where necessary, they constructed impressive ascents and descents, sometimes featuring long staircases carved directly into rock or built with precisely fitted stone steps. The roads themselves varied in width depending on the terrain and purpose, ranging from narrow paths to wide thoroughfares up to 50 feet across, though typical widths were around 3 to 6 feet. The surfaces were often paved with carefully laid stones, gravel, or compacted earth, ensuring durability and stability. Bridges were a critical component of the Incan road system, allowing the network to cross deep canyons, raging rivers, and other natural obstacles. The Inca developed several ingenious types of bridges. Suspension bridges, woven from strong plant fibers, were particularly notable. These engineering marvels could span hundreds of feet and were remarkably durable and flexible, capable of withstanding the strong winds and seismic activity common in the Andes. Maintenance was a communal responsibility, with local communities regularly repairing sections of the bridge. Stone bridges, made of precisely cut blocks, and pontoon bridges, using floating platforms, were also employed. For narrower gaps, simple log bridges or even pulley systems for baskets were sometimes used. Tunnels were also incorporated into the road network where necessary, particularly to pass through steep rock faces or mountain spurs. These tunnels, though relatively short, demonstrated the Incas' ability to excavate solid rock with basic tools. Along the entire network, the Inca constructed a series of tambos, or way stations located at regular intervals. These tambos served as resting points for travelers and chasqui, as well as storage depots for food and supplies, and sometimes as administrative or military outposts. These strategically placed facilities ensured the efficient functioning of the road system and imperial control. The construction of the Capacñan represented an immense and sustained labour effort, organised by the state through the Imita system, a form of communal public service. The precise engineering, the integration of diverse natural materials, and the sheer scale of the network, built across challenging terrain without advanced technology, attest to the extraordinary organisational capacity and technical ingenuity of the Inca Empire. The Incan road system stands as one of the greatest civil engineering achievements of the ancient world. Ancient China holds a significant place in the history of engineering, particularly for its early and advanced development of suspension bridges. While often associated with modern engineering, the principles of suspension bridge construction were understood and applied in China many centuries, even millennia, before they became common in the West. These early bridges, often built with ropes, chains, and timber, allowed passage over wide rivers and deep gorges, showcasing remarkable ingenuity and daring for their time. The period of significant development for these bridges began as early as the 1st century AD, reaching sophisticated forms by the 10th century. The earliest Chinese suspension bridges likely utilized simple rope cables. These would have been made from strong plant fibers, such as bamboo, rattan, or hemp. The basic design involved two main cables stretched between anchor points on either side of a river or gorge. A walkway, often made of wooden planks, would then be laid across these cables, suspended from them by vertical ropes or smaller cables. This early form of suspension bridge was relatively lightweight and flexible, well suited for crossing natural obstacles where other bridge types were impractical. By the Han Dynasty, around the 1st and 2nd centuries AD, historical records and archaeological evidence suggest the existence of more developed suspension bridges. The use of iron chains as primary suspension elements marked a significant advancement. Iron chain bridges offered greater strength and durability compared to fibre rope bridges, allowing for longer spans and heavier loads. The development of iron smelting and forging techniques in China facilitated the production of the necessary strong and uniform iron links for these chains. One notable example, though often debated in its specifics, is the so-called flying bridge, mentioned in historical texts as existing in Sichuan province around the 1st century AD, said to have stretched over a river on iron chains. By the Tang Dynasty, 7th to 10th centuries AD, and particularly during the Song Dynasty, 10th to 13th centuries AD, the construction of sophisticated suspension bridges was well documented. Engineers used heavy iron chains anchored deep into the rock on either bank. These main chains would form the catenary curve from which the bridge deck was suspended. The deck itself was typically made of sturdy timber planks. The Dujiangyan irrigation system, a major engineering marvel in Sichuan dating back to the 3rd century before Christ, later incorporated significant suspension bridges as part of its infrastructure, although the early ones were likely simpler forms. The advanced engineering involved in these bridges was considerable. Builders had to accurately calculate the span, determine the appropriate strength and number of chains or ropes, and ensure secure anchorages into the bedrock. The ability to create strong, consistent iron chains of significant length was itself a metallurgical feat. The techniques for lifting and tensioning the heavy chains across the gap would have required ingenious use of winches, capstans, and sheer human power. The bridges often incorporated sophisticated design elements to manage oscillations and ensure stability, anticipating principles that would be formally understood in later centuries. These early Chinese suspension bridges served vital roles in transportation, trade, and military movements, connecting remote regions and facilitating communication across challenging landscapes. Their construction demonstrates that ancient Chinese engineers possessed a deep practical understanding of forces, materials, and structural dynamics, enabling them to build large-scale, innovative structures that were far ahead of their time compared to contemporaneous developments in other parts of the world. The legacy of these ancient bridges underscores China's significant contributions to the history of civil engineering. The Sigatoka sand dunes, located on the southwest coast of Viti Levu, Fiji's largest island, are not merely a striking natural landscape but also a critically important archaeological site. Beneath their shifting sands lies evidence of one of Fiji's earliest known human settlements, revealing a complex prehistoric society that thrived thousands of years ago. Archaeological excavations at the dunes, particularly since the mid-20th century, have uncovered significant findings, including highly distinctive and elaborate pottery, suggesting sophisticated early societies in the Pacific. The dunes themselves are a product of thousands of years of erosion and accumulation of volcanic sand, reaching heights of up to 200 feet and stretching for miles along the coast. The archaeological significance of the site lies in the fact that these shifting sands have both preserved and sometimes revealed ancient human habitation layers. Initial discoveries in the 1940s and 1950s uncovered human remains, pottery, and other artifacts, indicating sustained occupation. The most notable archaeological findings at Sigatoka sand dunes are the large quantities of highly distinctive pottery, particularly the Lapita pottery. The Lapita culture is a prehistoric Austronesian culture that spread throughout much of Oceania, beginning around 3,500 years before Christ. The pottery found at Sigatoka exhibits the characteristic intricate geometric patterns created by dentate, toothed stamping, along with specific vessel forms, which are hallmarks of Lapita ware. The presence of Lapita pottery at Sigatoka is crucial because it helps to trace the migration routes and settlement patterns of the earliest inhabitants of Fiji and other Pacific islands. Beyond the Lapita ware, later forms of pottery have also been found, indicating continuous or successive periods of occupation. These include larger, coarser types of pottery, some of which are very thick-walled, suggesting their use for cooking or storage on a communal scale. The variety and evolution of pottery styles across the different stratigraphic layers of the dunes provide a detailed timeline of human activity at the site, spanning from the early Lapita settlement to later Fijian cultural periods. The sheer volume of pottery fragments suggests a significant and settled population, not merely transient groups. The archaeological excavations have also unearthed other types of artifacts that shed light on the lifestyle of these ancient societies. These include stone tools, shell tools, human skeletal remains, and evidence of ancient hearths and midden deposits, refuse heaps. The discovery of burial sites, sometimes containing multiple individuals, provides insights into their funerary practices and social organisation. The presence of these remains suggests a community with established routines and possibly a degree of social complexity required for resource management and communal living. The environment of the Sigatoka sand dunes was likely different in ancient times, with more stable coastal areas supporting early settlements before the dunes expanded. The site's location near the mouth of the Sigatoka River would have provided access to freshwater resources and marine life, making it an attractive location for early settlers. The archaeological evidence from Sigatoka sand dunes, particularly the sophisticated pottery and the scale of the settlements, provides compelling proof of highly capable and organised early societies in Fiji, highlighting their artistic achievements and their ability to establish enduring communities in the challenging island environment. The ancient Maya civilization, which flourished in the tropical lowlands of Mesoamerica, particularly in present-day southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and parts of Honduras and El Salvador, developed remarkably sophisticated water management systems. These systems were crucial for sustaining large urban populations in a challenging jungle environment, characterized by seasonal droughts and heavy rainfall. From approximately 250 to 900 AD, during their classic period, the Maya engineered intricate networks of reservoirs, canals, and filtration techniques, demonstrating a profound understanding of hydrology and resource management. The tropical lowland environment presented a unique set of challenges for water supply. While rainfall was abundant during the wet season, the porous limestone geology meant that surface water quickly drained away into underground aquifers. During the dry season, from approximately November to May, water sources became scarce. To cope with this, the Maya developed ingenious methods to capture, store, and distribute water for their cities. At the heart of many Mayan cities were large, interconnected reservoir systems. Cities like Tikal, Palenque, and Calakmul, among others, constructed vast artificial reservoirs to collect rainwater. For instance, at Tikal, a series of reservoirs, some reaching impressive sizes like the Palace Reservoir and the Temple Reservoir, were strategically located to collect runoff from plazas and temple structures. These reservoirs were carefully designed with impermeable clay linings to prevent water seepage, a crucial step in ensuring water retention. Beyond storage, the Maya developed sophisticated systems for water transport and distribution. They built extensive networks of canals, some lined with stone, to divert water from rivers, streams, or elevated reservoirs to various parts of their cities and agricultural fields. These canals often incorporated siphons and hydraulic structures to manage water flow and pressure. In some areas, evidence suggests the use of raised fields or terracing systems, sometimes irrigated by channels, to optimize agricultural productivity by managing water levels and soil moisture. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of Mayan water management was their use of filtration techniques. Recent archaeological discoveries at the ancient city of Tikal have revealed a sophisticated water filtration system. The Palace Reservoir, one of Tikal's main water sources, contained layers of quartz and zeolite, naturally occurring crystalline materials. These materials served as a natural filter, removing harmful microbes, heavy metals, and other contaminants from the drinking water. This rudimentary yet effective filtration technology provided a source of clean water for the city's inhabitants, a level of public health engineering not commonly seen in other ancient civilizations. The Maya also managed water runoff from their monumental architecture. The vast plaza areas and pyramid structures were often designed to channel rainwater efficiently into the reservoir systems, effectively turning the entire urban landscape into a giant water collection mechanism. Paved plazas and plastered surfaces facilitated water flow, directing it towards collection points. This integrated approach demonstrates a holistic understanding of their environment, and the hydrological cycle. The advanced water management systems of the Maya were vital for supporting their dense urban populations and complex societal structures in a challenging jungle environment. Their ability to engineer reliable water supplies and sanitation solutions without the benefit of modern technology reflects a profound scientific understanding and a highly organized society. The decline of some Mayan cities has been linked to severe droughts and the breakdown of these crucial water systems, highlighting their importance to the civilization's long-term sustainability. The artifact commonly referred to as the Saqqara bird, or Saqqara bird, is a small wooden object discovered in 1898 during the excavation of the Padi Eman tomb in Saqqara, Egypt. Dating to approximately 200 years before Christ, during the Ptolemaic period, this artifact has sparked considerable debate regarding its true nature and whether it offers a glimpse into ancient Egyptian understanding of aerodynamics or simply represents a bird toy. The object is a glider-like model, measuring approximately 7 inches in length, with a wingspan of about 7 inches. It is carved from sycamore wood and weighs just over 1 ounce. The design of the Saqqara bird is notable for several features that have fueled the aerodynamic discussion. It possesses a sleek cylindrical body, a straight, stiff tail, and wings that are angled slightly downwards, resembling the dihedral common in modern aircraft wings. The wings themselves are quite thick at the centre and taper towards the tips, a profile consistent with an airfoil that generates lift. Unlike many stylized bird depictions in ancient Egyptian art, the Saqqara bird does not have legs or detailed feathers, suggesting a functional rather than merely aesthetic design. Its tail, specifically, is a single, solid piece of wood, perfectly vertical, and unlike the fanned tails of natural birds. This vertical stabilizer configuration is a crucial component for flight stability in aircraft. Proponents of the ancient glider theory argue that these features are not coincidental. They suggest that the design of the Saqqara bird indicates an intentional understanding of basic aerodynamic principles, even if theoretical or empirical, by its creators. Dr. Khalil Messiha, an Egyptian physician and archaeologist, was one of the first to propose that the artifact was more than a toy. He pointed out its remarkable resemblance to modern gliders and stated that the positioning of its wings and tail would provide stability in flight. Experiments with scaled replicas, often with the addition of a horizontal stabilizer, which the original lacks but some theories suggest it might have been missing or implied, have shown that the model can indeed glide for short distances. These experiments, however, do not definitively prove that the original was intended for flight, or that Egyptians actually built larger manned flying machines. Skeptics of the aerodynamic theory maintain that the Saqqara bird is more likely a stylized bird figure or a child's toy. They point out that many ancient cultures created bird-shaped artifacts, often for decorative or ceremonial purposes, and that the aerodynamic features could be accidental or simply a result of simplified artistic representation. The absence of an obvious horizontal tailplane, which is critical for longitudinal stability in gliders, is a significant point raised by critics. Without this component, a glider would likely pitch uncontrollably. Some argue that the shape of the wing, while appearing airfoil-like, could also be interpreted as a common artistic rendering of bird wings. Furthermore, there are no other known archaeological findings or textual records from ancient Egypt that describe flying machines or the principles of aerodynamics, making the Saqqara bird an isolated anomaly if it were truly a flight model. The context of its discovery also contributes to the debate. It was found in a tomb, among other grave goods, which might suggest a symbolic or ritualistic purpose rather than a functional one. Ancient Egyptians frequently placed models of boats and other objects in tombs to accompany the deceased in the afterlife. However, its unusual design, distinct from typical bird representations, continues to intrigue. While the Saqqara bird does not provide definitive proof of ancient flight, it remains a fascinating artifact that prompts questions about the extent of ancient Egyptian scientific knowledge and their experimental capabilities, inspiring ongoing analysis and speculation about its true nature and purpose. Ancient Indian texts contain numerous descriptions of flying machines or aerial vehicles known as vimanas. These descriptions, found in various Sanskrit scriptures, epic poems and scientific treatises, have fueled considerable debate and speculation, with some proponents suggesting they detail actual ancient technology or advanced knowledge of flight. The most prominent texts discussing Vimanas include the Vedas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the much later and more detailed Vaimanika Shastra. The earliest references to Vimanas appear in the Vedas, particularly the Rig Veda, dating back to approximately 1500 years before Christ. In these texts, Vimanas are often described as celestial chariots or flying palaces, sometimes associated with deities and used for travel between realms. They are depicted as multi-shaped, multi-chambered vehicles, occasionally with wings or wheels, capable of moving at great speed through the air. These early descriptions are largely mythological and poetic, offering little technical detail, and are generally interpreted by scholars as metaphorical or imaginative representations of divine transport. Later texts, such as the epic poems the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, composed much later, provide more elaborate narratives involving Vimanas. In the Ramayana, the Pushpaka Vimana, belonging to the demon king Ravana and later used by Rama, is described as an aerial car that could expand or contract, travel at the speed of thought, and carry many people. The Mahabharata also details various Vimanas used in epic battles, often equipped with formidable weaponry and capable of evasive maneuvers. These descriptions, while still within a mythological framework, present a more vivid picture of flying machines with advanced capabilities. The most controversial and detailed text concerning Vimanas is the Vaimanika Shastra, or Science of Aeronautics. This Sanskrit text was purportedly channeled in the early 20th century by a psychic named Subbaraya Shastri, and claims to be based on much older, lost ancient treatises. It provides intricate details about the construction, operation, and capabilities of various types of Vimanas, including their materials, propulsion systems, and defensive mechanisms. It describes 4 distinct types of Vimanas, along with their engines, fuel, and even pilot training. Some sections discuss technologies like anti-gravity and sonar. However, mainstream academic scholarship largely dismisses the Vaimanika Shastra as a modern fabrication, not an authentic ancient text. Philological analysis has shown that the language and concepts used in the Vaimanika Shastra do not align with ancient Sanskrit and scientific thought. Furthermore, scientific and engineering analyses of the Vaimanika Shastra's designs conclude that the described Vimanas are aerodynamically unsound and mechanically impossible to build using any known ancient or even modern technology. For example, some designs lack basic principles for lift or control, making actual flight unfeasible. Scholars argue that the text is a product of early 20th century imagination, perhaps influenced by the nascent development of aviation at the time, rather than a genuine ancient blueprint. Despite academic skepticism, the detailed descriptions of Vimanas in the Vaimanika Shastra and other texts continue to inspire alternative theories. Proponents suggest that these texts are not mere mythology, but echo a forgotten period of advanced technological knowledge in ancient India. They argue that the descriptions, even if symbolic, could be based on actual observations of ancient flying craft or theoretical concepts that were later lost. However, without any archaeological evidence, physical artifacts, or independent corroboration, the idea of ancient Vimanas as actual flying machines remains within the realm of speculative interpretation rather than established historical fact. The Vimana texts stand as a fascinating example of ancient literary imagination that continues to provoke questions about the boundaries of ancient capabilities. Atlit Yam is a remarkable submerged Neolithic village located off the coast of Atlit, Israel, in the Mediterranean Sea. Discovered in 1984 by underwater archaeologist Ehud Galili, this ancient settlement provides an exceptionally well-preserved glimpse into coastal life during the pre-pottery Neolithic B period, dating back approximately 8,900 to 8,100 years ago. Its remarkable preservation is due to its rapid submergence beneath the sea, likely caused by a sudden rise in sea level following the melting of glaciers at the end of the last ice age, possibly exacerbated by a tsunami. The site of Atlit Yam lies at a depth of approximately 26 to 39 feet below the current sea level, spanning an area of roughly 100,000 square feet. Excavations have revealed a surprisingly intact village layout, including evidence of rectangular houses built with stone foundations, suggesting permanent settlement. The orientation and arrangement of these structures indicate a planned community, rather than a haphazard collection of dwellings. Stone tools, including flint axes and sickles, along with grinding stones, have been recovered, indicating agricultural practices and food processing within the village. One of the most significant discoveries at Atlit Yam is a sophisticated freshwater well, approximately 33 feet deep, constructed with carefully laid stone walls. This well still contains freshwater today, indicating its continued functionality. Its presence suggests a reliable water source for the ancient inhabitants, and demonstrates their engineering capabilities in accessing and managing groundwater. The well also yielded a wealth of organic remains, preserved by the anaerobic conditions at the bottom, providing invaluable information about the environment and diet of the Neolithic people. Further adding to the mystique of Atlit Yam are two megalithic structures. One is a semicircular arrangement of 7 large standing stones, measuring about 10 feet in diameter, which appears to have served as a ritualistic area or a place for spiritual gatherings. Each stone has cup marks carved into it, possibly for offerings or libations. The other is a large upright stone with a distinctive carved face, which some researchers interpret as a monolithic statue or a religious icon. These megalithic elements point to a complex belief system and the capacity for monumental construction even at this early stage of human history. The well-preserved organic remains offer unique insights into the daily lives and health of the inhabitants. Large quantities of animal bones, including domesticated cattle, sheep, goats, and wild animals, suggest a mixed economy of animal husbandry, hunting, and possibly fishing. Evidence of cultivated wheat and barley indicates agricultural practices. Perhaps most significantly, human skeletal remains have been found, some exhibiting signs of disease. One male skeleton, approximately 25 to 30 years old, shows the earliest known case of tuberculosis, identified by DNA analysis. This discovery provides crucial information about the history of disease and its impact on ancient populations. Atlit Yam provides invaluable information about the transition from nomadic, hunter-gatherer lifestyles to settled agricultural communities in the Near East. The advanced planning of the village, the engineering of the well, the presence of megalithic structures, and the detailed evidence of their diet and health all paint a picture of a surprisingly sophisticated Neolithic society. Its submergence and subsequent preservation under the sea have allowed archaeologists to study a pristine snapshot of life from over 8,000 years ago, making Atlit Yam a profoundly important site for understanding early human development. The Bimini Road, also known as the Bimini Wall, is an underwater rock formation located off the coast of North Bimini Island in the Bahamas. Discovered in 1968, this linear arrangement of large rectangular and polygonal limestone blocks lies at a depth of approximately 15 to 20 feet below the ocean surface. Its remarkably regular appearance, resembling a paved road or wall, has ignited a long-standing debate among geologists, archaeologists, and enthusiasts about whether it is a natural geological formation or a man-made structure, possibly a remnant of a lost ancient civilization. The formation consists of several hundred large flattened limestone blocks, generally rectangular or polygonal in shape, arranged in a remarkably straight line for over half a mile. The individual blocks vary in size, some measuring up to 13 feet across, and are often fitted together with unusual precision, creating distinct joints. The top surface of the road is relatively flat, and it appears to follow a consistent depth contour. The primary material is beach rock, a type of sandstone formed by the cementation of beach sands with calcium carbonate, a common geological process in coastal areas. Proponents of the natural formation theory argue that the Bimini Road is a product of natural geological processes. They point out that beach rock commonly forms in the intertidal zone and often breaks into rectangular or polygonal blocks due to wave action, tidal erosion, and seismic activity. The phenomenon of jointing, where rocks fracture into regular shapes, is well documented in geology. Over thousands of years, as sea levels rose after the last ice age, these naturally formed blocks would have become submerged. Geologists suggest that the apparent straightness is coincidental, or a result of observing only a portion of a larger irregular formation. They emphasize the absence of tool marks, mortar, or other definitive evidence of human construction on the blocks themselves. Similar natural formations have been observed in other coastal areas of the world. Conversely, Those who argue for a man-made origin contend that the extraordinary regularity, linearity, and the apparent fitting of the blocks cannot be explained by natural processes alone. They highlight the unusually consistent width of the road and the precision of the joints between blocks, which resemble human-cut masonry. Some observers claim to have found evidence of multiple layers of blocks and even what appear to be supporting structures underneath, suggesting deliberate construction rather than random natural breakage. The idea that it could be a road, wall, or even a harbour structure built by an ancient civilization is central to this argument. The man-made theory often connects the Bimini Road to Plato's account of the lost city of Atlantis, with some proponents suggesting it is evidence of a sophisticated prehistoric civilization that once existed in the Atlantic. This theory often relies on the idea that the structure would have been above sea level during a period when Atlantis might have flourished, possibly over 10,000 years ago. However, scientific dating of the beach rock itself consistently yields ages ranging from approximately 2,000 to 4,000 years old, a timeline that contradicts the much older dates required for the Atlantis theory. While the date of formation indicates a relatively young geological feature, it is still ancient. Despite extensive study and debate, the conclusive nature of the Bimini Road remains elusive. While many geologists favour a natural explanation, the striking appearance of the formation continues to fuel speculation about its artificial origin. Without clearer evidence of human intervention, such as definitive tool marks or associated artefacts, the Bimini Road remains an intriguing geological curiosity, a testament to how natural processes can sometimes mimic human design. The tombs of the giants, or Tombe dei Giganti, are distinctive megalithic collective burial structures found exclusively on the island of Sardinia, dating back primarily to the Nuragic civilization, between approximately 1800 and 800 years before Christ. These monumental structures, of which there are hundreds scattered across the island, represent the most elaborate funerary architecture of the Nuragic people, designed for the communal burial of an entire clan or community. Their impressive size and intricate construction methods reveal a sophisticated social organization and a deep cultural significance placed on ancestors and the afterlife. The typical tomb of the giants has a characteristic design, resembling the head of a bull, a sacred animal in Nuragic culture. The most striking feature is the exedra, a semicircular facade at the entrance of the tomb, formed by a row of orthostats, which are large, upright stone slabs. At the centre of this exedra stands a massive, often decorated central stele, a single upright slab of stone that can reach heights of 15 feet or more. This central stele is typically carved with a stylized door or portal, symbolizing the passage to the afterlife. A small, actual opening at the base of the stele serves as the entrance to the tomb's burial chamber. Behind the exedra and central stele lies a long, narrow burial chamber, typically resembling an inverted ship's hull or a passage, constructed from large, unworked or roughly dressed stone blocks. This chamber can extend for lengths of 30 to 70 feet, and is usually covered by a cairn of earth and rubble, which creates the overall mound shape of the tomb. The walls of the chamber are formed by large, dry-laid stones, and the roof is often created using a corbelled vaulting technique, where successive layers of stones project inward until they meet at the top. This method creates a sturdy, self-supporting roof without the need for mortar. The construction of these large tombs involves significant collective effort. The stone blocks, primarily granite or basalt, were sourced from local quarries. The quarrying process would have involved using simple stone tools to split and shape the rocks. Given the size of some of the orthostats and the central stele, which could weigh many tons, their transportation to the building site would have required immense human power. Theories suggest the use of wooden sledges, rollers, and perhaps earthen ramps to drag these heavy stones across the landscape. The erection of the large upright stele and the precise stacking of the chamber stones without mortar demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of static engineering and masonry. The purpose of the tombs of the giants was primarily for collective burial. Archaeological findings within these tombs have uncovered numerous skeletal remains, along with grave goods such as pottery, bronze tools and ornaments, indicating that they were used for multiple burials over generations. These tombs served as sacred spaces where the living maintained a connection with their ancestors and where communal rituals or offerings may have taken place. Their prominence in the landscape would have also served as territorial markers and symbols of the identity and strength of the Nuragic clans. The widespread distribution and scale of the tombs of the giants highlight the organizational capacity and cultural importance placed on funerary practices by the Nuragic civilization. They represent a significant investment of labor and resources by these ancient communities, creating enduring monuments to their dead and their collective identity. These unique Sardinian structures continue to provide invaluable insights into the social, spiritual, and engineering achievements of a distinct prehistoric European culture. The Diquis spheres, or stone spheres of Costa Rica, are a collection of over 300 perfectly or nearly perfectly spherical stone balls found primarily in the Diquis Delta of southwestern Costa Rica. These enigmatic artifacts, ranging widely in size from a few inches to over 8 feet in diameter and weighing up to 16 tons, were created by the pre-Columbian Diquis culture, flourishing between approximately 600 and 1600 AD, with the majority dating to the Aguas Buenas period, from 300 to 800 AD. Their precise geometric perfection, coupled with the lack of definitive records regarding their purpose and creation methods, makes them one of archaeology's most compelling mysteries. The spheres are carved from various types of stone found in the region, including granodiorite, gabbro, and limestone. Granodiorite and gabbro are igneous rocks, known for their hardness and durability, making the task of shaping them into perfect spheres a monumental undertaking for a society without metal tools. The surfaces of the spheres are smooth, and their roundness is remarkably consistent, with deviations often less than an inch from a perfect sphere, even for the largest examples. This level of precision suggests a sophisticated understanding of geometry and a meticulous approach to craftsmanship. The process by which these ancient people achieved such geometric perfection without modern measuring instruments or specialized tools is largely theoretical. It is believed that the stone was first roughly shaped by hammering and pecking with harder stone tools, a process known as spalling. Then, a continuous process of abrasion would have been employed. This likely involved using sand, water, and perhaps larger abrasive stones to grind down the rough edges and gradually work the stone into a spherical shape. The process would have been incredibly time-consuming and labor-intensive, requiring immense dedication and a large, skilled workforce. Some theories suggest the use of large, fixed grinding platforms or rotating mechanisms, while others propose the stones were rolled in sand pits filled with abrasive materials. Regardless of the exact method, the consistent spherical form indicates a methodical and precise approach. The purpose of the Diquis spheres remains unknown, as the Diquis culture did not leave behind written records. No definitive archaeological evidence, such as associated structures or clear contexts, has emerged to explain their function. Various theories have been proposed, none of which are universally accepted. One theory suggests an astronomical purpose. The spheres might have been used as calendrical markers, aligning with solstices, equinoxes, or other celestial events. Their placement in specific patterns or lines might have served as an ancient observatory, or a way to track the passage of time. However, clear evidence for such alignments is often difficult to establish definitively in archaeological contexts. Another popular theory is that the spheres served as territorial markers or indicators of status. Their placement in front of important buildings or at the entrances to settlements might have signified boundaries, important locations, or the power of a particular community or clan. Some researchers believe they had a ceremonial or religious function, possibly representing celestial bodies, ancestral spirits, or symbols of fertility and abundance. They might have been objects of worship or used in rituals. The fact that some spheres were found in groups or patterns further supports the idea of intentional arrangement. Many of the spheres were found buried, some in natural deposits, others within archaeological contexts related to human settlement. Unfortunately, many spheres were moved from their original positions by early settlers and treasure hunters in the 20th century, disrupting their archaeological context and making it even harder to ascertain their original purpose. The initial discovery and subsequent removal of many spheres from their sites before proper archaeological documentation further complicated understanding. The existence of these hundreds of perfectly carved stone spheres by a pre-Columbian society without advanced technology poses significant questions about their engineering knowledge, artistic capabilities, and social organization. It speaks to a culture that valued precision, perhaps for practical, symbolic, or spiritual reasons, to an extent that motivated centuries of monumental stonework. The Diki spheres continue to be a subject of fascination and ongoing research, standing as silent monuments to an enigmatic ancient civilization and challenging modern assumptions about early human achievements. Their perfect geometry and unknown function continue to invite wonder and scholarly inquiry into the lost knowledge of the ancient Diki people. The Ica stones are a controversial collection of engraved andesite stones discovered, or more accurately popularized, in the Ica region of Peru, beginning in the 1960s. These stones, varying in size from small pebbles to larger boulders, are purportedly ancient artifacts with intricate carvings depicting scenes that challenge conventional historical and scientific understanding. The most sensational of these carvings feature representations of dinosaurs coexisting with humans, advanced surgical procedures, images of the Earth from space, and various forms of advanced technology. The overwhelming scientific consensus is that the Ica stones are a modern fabrication, a hoax designed to deceive. The stones were largely brought to public attention by Dr. Javier Cabrera Darquea, a Peruvian physician who claimed to have collected thousands of them from local farmers and huaqueros, or grave robbers. He maintained that the stones were genuine artifacts inherited from his family and represented a prehistoric civilization far more advanced than any known to history. His primary source for the stones was a local farmer named Basilio Shuya, who later admitted to carving the stones himself, based on images from comic books, science magazines, and textbooks, and then artificially aging them to appear ancient. The carvings on the Ica stones are diverse and often depict highly anachronistic themes. Beyond the numerous images of various dinosaur species including Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and Tyrannosaurus rex, interacting with humans, sometimes riding them or fighting them, other carvings show humans using telescopes, performing intricate brain surgery, including open-heart surgery and caesarean sections, or observing celestial bodies through what appear to be advanced instruments. Some stones even purport to show detailed world maps with continents in configurations different from today, or flying machines. These depictions directly contradict established scientific timelines for the existence of dinosaurs, which died out over 65 million years ago, long before humans evolved, and the development of such advanced technology, which is a product of modern history. A major point against the authenticity of the Ica stones is the complete lack of archaeological context. Unlike genuine ancient artifacts, which are typically found during controlled archaeological excavations in stratified layers alongside other datable materials, the Ica stones were never found in situ by professional archaeologists. They were always presented by informal collectors or farmers, making their provenance impossible to verify. This absence of archaeological context is a critical red flag for any purported ancient artifact. No legitimate archaeological dig has ever unearthed similar stones. Furthermore, scientific analysis of the stones themselves has revealed strong evidence of their modern origin. Andesite, the stone from which they are carved, is a common volcanic rock in the Ica region. However, examinations of the carved grooves have shown that they are remarkably fresh, lacking the natural patina, weathering, and microscopic recrystallization that would be expected on engravings thousands or millions of years old. The surface of the stone inside the grooves is often lighter in colour than the outer, weathered surface, indicating recent exposure. Attempts to artificially age the stones using heat or chemicals have also been identified. The carving techniques themselves also raise doubts. While the original carvings are very precise, the methods used do not necessarily indicate ancient tools. A modern steel tool can easily reproduce these effects. The most damaging evidence to their authenticity came from Ushua's confession to carving the stones. He stated that he learned to carve as a child and continued the practice, earning money by selling them. His family members and other locals also corroborated this, explaining the process of carving and artificially aging the stones. Despite the overwhelming evidence and confessions, a small number of proponents continue to claim the stones are genuine, often citing a conspiracy to suppress knowledge of ancient advanced civilizations. However, the scientific and archaeological communities firmly reject the Ica stones as legitimate ancient artifacts. They are considered a well-known example of a pseudoscientific hoax, serving as a cautionary tale about the importance of archaeological context, scientific dating, and critical evaluation of purported historical evidence. The Ica stones remain an intriguing example of how belief can sometimes override empirical evidence in the pursuit of extraordinary claims. Jibel Chaltun, an extensive ancient Maya city located in the northern lowlands of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, provides a captivating glimpse into the sophistication of Mayan astronomy and architecture. Flourishing from the pre-classic period through the post-classic, with its peak in the classic period, roughly between 600 and 900 AD, Jibel Chaltun was a significant urban centre, strategically positioned near the coast and known for its salt production and trade networks. Among its numerous structures, the Temple of the Seven Dolls stands as a pivotal monument, celebrated for its precise alignment with the sun during the spring and autumn equinoxes. The Temple of the Seven Dolls, or Templo de las Siete Muñecas in Spanish, is named for 7 small, roughly made effigies found within its ruins during archaeological excavations in the mid-20th century. This unique structure is situated at the eastern end of the city's main ceremonial plaza, connected by a long sack bay or white road to the central urban area. The temple is built on a pyramidal base with a central rectangular structure featuring 4 doorways and 4 corresponding stairways aligning with the 4 cardinal directions. Its design is distinct from typical Maya architecture, showing some influences from Central Mexican styles, suggesting cultural exchange. The most extraordinary aspect of the Temple of the Seven Dolls is its precise astronomical alignment. On the vernal and autumnal equinoxes, which occur around March 21st and September 22nd each year, a remarkable solar phenomenon unfolds. As the sun rises directly in the east, its first rays penetrate the eastern doorway of the temple. The light then travels through the central chamber, illuminating the interior, and finally exits through the western doorway. This dramatic illumination event lasts for only a few minutes, creating a striking visual spectacle that highlights the Mayas' advanced understanding of celestial mechanics. This precise alignment was not accidental. It required centuries of careful astronomical observation by Mayan priests and astronomers who meticulously tracked the sun's movements throughout the year. They then translated this profound knowledge into the architectural design and precise orientation of the temple. The construction of the temple would have involved intricate planning and sophisticated surveying techniques to ensure that its doorways and central axis were perfectly aligned with the equinox sunrise and sunset. The builders used locally quarried limestone blocks, meticulously cut and fitted to create the temple's structure. The astronomical function of the Temple of the Seven Dolls likely played a crucial role in the social and religious life of Jibel Chaltun. The equinoxes were significant dates in the Mayan calendar, marking the balance between day and night. These events would have been important for agricultural planning, signalling the beginning or end of planting and harvesting seasons. They were also deeply integrated into Mayan religious beliefs, associated with specific deities and rituals related to fertility, creation, and the cycles of life and death. The equinox spectacle would have served to reinforce the authority of the ruling elite and the priests, demonstrating their connection to the cosmos and their ability to interpret divine signs. Jibel Chaltun itself was a sprawling city covering many square miles with an estimated peak population in the tens of thousands. Its importance was linked to its coastal proximity and its extensive salt production, a vital commodity for trade throughout Mesoamerica. The city featured numerous other structures, including residential complexes, platforms, and a large cenote, or natural sinkhole, which served as a sacred water source and a site for offerings. The sack biob, or raised roads, connected the various architectural groups, demonstrating a sophisticated urban infrastructure that facilitated movement and communication within the city. The Temple of the Seven Dolls stands as a powerful testament to the intellectual achievements of the ancient Maya. Its deliberate astronomical alignment showcases their remarkable skills in observation, mathematics, and engineering, demonstrating a civilization that was deeply intertwined with the rhythms of the cosmos. The precise illumination of its interior during the equinoxes serves as an enduring reminder of a profound connection between ancient architecture, celestial events, and the spiritual life of the Maya people, who built enduring monuments to their understanding of time and the universe. Xochicalco, an archaeological site located in the Mexican state of Morelos, represents a significant cultural and political center that emerged during the Epiclassic period of Mesoamerican history, roughly from 700 to 900 AD. This period followed the decline of major classic period powers like Teotihuacan. Xochicalco is renowned for its unique architectural style, which blends influences from various Mesoamerican cultures, reflecting its role as a possible meeting point or refuge for scholars and artisans from different regions. Among its most distinctive structures is the coiled serpent wall, more accurately known as the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent, a structure celebrated for its intricate carvings and profound astronomical and calendrical symbolism. The Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent, situated on the main plaza of Xochicalco, is a central platform that showcases remarkable bas-relief carvings on its sloping tallard walls. The most prominent and visually striking feature of these carvings is the depiction of undulating feathered serpents, commonly identified as Quetzalcoatl, the Mesoamerican deity associated with wind, wisdom, and the planet Venus. 6 of these massive coiled serpents adorn the pyramid's 4 sides, their bodies intertwining as they ascend the structure. Each serpent is rendered with meticulous detail, featuring prominent scales, feathers, and intricate head designs. Integrated within the coils of these serpents are stylized human figures, often interpreted as priests or dignitaries from different Mesoamerican cultures, wearing elaborate costumes and headdresses. These figures are depicted seated within the serpent's curves, sometimes holding calendrical symbols or glyphs. This fusion of the powerful serpent deity with human representation suggests a complex religious and political narrative, perhaps emphasizing the divine authority of Xochicalco's rulers or the unity of diverse cultural groups under a common ideology. The artistic style itself is a syncretic blend, showing traits from Teotihuacan, Maya, and Zapotec art, which underscores Xochicalco's unique position as a cross-cultural center during a period of significant regional realignment. The astronomical importance of the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent is deeply embedded in its iconography and the site's overall design. The body of the feathered serpent is often depicted with shell symbols, which some scholars interpret as representing water or waves, or perhaps the undulating movement of the serpent itself. More significantly, the carvings incorporate numerous hieroglyphic inscriptions and calendrical dates. These include specific dates from the Mesoamerican calendar systems, such as day names and numerical coefficients, suggesting the temple served as a calendrical reference point or commemorated significant historical events tied to celestial observations. Xochicalco itself functioned as an important astronomical observatory. The site contains 2 major observatories, a circular underground chamber with a vertical shaft, and another cave with strategically placed openings. These observatories were precisely aligned to track the sun's passage, particularly during solstices and equinoxes. For example, during the summer solstice, the sun's rays penetrate the vertical shaft of the underground observatory, illuminating specific markers on the chamber floor. While direct visual alignments from the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent itself are less dramatic than at some other sites, the temple's iconography and the broader astronomical context of Xochicalco strongly link the serpent imagery to celestial cycles, creation myths, and the very concept of time. The feathered serpent, as a symbol, was often associated with Venus, a celestial body of immense importance to Mesoamerican calendrical systems. The construction of the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent involved quarrying and carving volcanic stone such as basalt, with remarkable skill. The artisans used stone tools to create the detailed bas reliefs, demonstrating a mastery of stoneworking. The enduring preservation of these intricate carvings, despite centuries of exposure, speaks to the durability of the materials and the craftsmanship. The coiled serpent wall at Xochicalco stands as a powerful symbol of epiclassic Mesoamerican ingenuity, integrating complex astronomical knowledge, religious symbolism, and diverse artistic traditions into a single, awe-inspiring monument. The concept of Egyptian light bulbs is a controversial theory popularized by some alternative researchers, particularly beginning in the late 20th century. This theory posits that certain ancient Egyptian reliefs, specifically those found in the crypts of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, depict ancient electrical lighting devices akin to light bulbs. Mainstream Egyptology and scientific communities overwhelmingly reject this interpretation, categorizing it as pseudoscientific. The reliefs are universally understood by specialists as symbolic depictions rooted in ancient Egyptian mythology and religious iconography. The reliefs in question are located in a deeply recessed cellar or crypt within the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, a complex built primarily during the Ptolemaic and Roman periods, roughly from the 1st century before Christ to the 1st century AD. The most prominent relief depicts figures holding large, elongated, bulb-like objects. Inside these bulbs, serpent figures are depicted. A flexible line, resembling a cable, extends from the end of the bulb to a lotus flower, and then connects to a djed pillar. Various figures are shown interacting with these elements, often supporting the bulb or standing in positions that proponents interpret as operating a device. Proponents of the Dendera light theory argue that the shape of the bulb strikingly resembles a Crookes tube, an early type of cathode ray tube used in the late 19th century for experiments with electricity. They interpret the serpent inside the bulb as representing a filament or an electrical discharge. The cable leading from the bulb to the djed pillar is seen as a power conduit, with the djed pillar itself interpreted as a type of electrical insulator or even a generator that produced static electricity. A common argument cited by proponents is the supposed absence of soot on the ceilings of the Dendera crypts and other ancient Egyptian tombs. They claim that if torches or oil lamps were used for illumination in these enclosed spaces, there would be significant soot accumulation, and its absence suggests a cleaner, non-combustion light source, implying electricity. However, mainstream Egyptological and scientific interpretations offer a detailed symbolic explanation for the reliefs, fully consistent with known ancient Egyptian religious beliefs and art. The bulb shape is interpreted as a lotus flower, a prominent symbol of creation, rebirth, and the sun in Egyptian mythology, from which the serpent, symbolizing the sun god or a divine creative force, emerges. The serpent's journey through the lotus signifies the sun's daily rebirth. The djed pillar is a well-established ancient Egyptian symbol of stability, endurance, and the backbone of the god Osiris, often associated with regeneration and divine power. The cable is understood as a stem or a symbolic connection within this mythological scene, not an electrical wire. The entire scene is interpreted as a symbolic representation of creation, the daily rebirth of the sun, or a ritual offering intended to ensure cosmic order and the prosperity of Egypt. Regarding the absence of soot, Egyptologists point out several factors. Many tombs and crypts may have been illuminated by small oil lamps, which produce significantly less soot than torches, especially if regularly cleaned. Furthermore, light could have been reflected into dark chambers using polished copper mirrors, a technique for which there is some historical evidence. Most importantly, not all parts of these crypts would have been continuously lit or frequently accessed, limiting soot accumulation. The theory also lacks any supporting archaeological evidence for ancient electrical technology. No batteries, wires, dynamos, or any components that could generate or transmit electricity have ever been found in ancient Egypt. There are also no textual records or hieroglyphic inscriptions that describe the generation or use of electricity. The Dendera light theory relies on a highly selective interpretation of visual elements, divorcing them from their rich and well-understood ancient Egyptian cultural and religious context. It is widely considered a pseudoscientific claim that misinterprets religious symbolism as technological depiction,